degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. We'll continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Well, things ramped up again in Iran. We're going to talk about what happened and where we go from here. That's still ahead here this morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you, Mike Ferguson. Let's start a little bit closer to home here. Illinois, big news across the country. Department of Justice now looking at 36 Illinois schools, including one in this region here, accusing them or at least investigating them based on accusations that they are continuing to push the gender nonsense, but even worse, doing so without the permission of the parents and not even letting the parents know or have the chance to pull their kids out. If that turns out to be true, there should be massive repercussions for that. We spoke with Shannon Adcock from our friends at Awake, Illinois on Tuesday's program, and she gave us this update with the receipts. The DOJ launches investigations into 36 Illinois schools, including at least one from the St. Louis general region here. O'Fallon, Illinois is in this as well. So there are two questions at hand, at least two questions at hand. Are they still pushing the sexual content? I'll just call it grooming. But secondly, and this may be the bigger legal aspect of this, are they doing so without notifying the parents or at least giving them a chance to opt out? 36 schools throughout Illinois on this.
Wow.
We're now joined by Shannon Adcock from our friends at Awake, Illinois. And Shannon, I was just mentioning here a few minutes ago, you warned us about this something like a year ago when you were on the show. And of course, we got all the social media haters, your fan club, as we like to call it as well, who are like, that's never going to happen. They don't do that. Well, now the Department of Justice has enough to go on to say, we're at least going to do a Title IX investigation on this. How big is the scope of this?
Well, this is actually a pretty big deal, and thank you for having me on to discuss it. So we sounded the alarm years ago, and this list is relatively a small pool, I would say, where the Department of Justice is investigating these school districts. A few of them sound a little panicked, but my response to some of the school board members and the legislators in this district is, look, if you're not doing anything wrong, then don't worry about it. But I think this is just a testimony to how these schools have gone on for years without much audit or without needing to have much transparency. But we know that this grooming behavior of sexualizing children is systemic and statewide. It is not limited to this, investigation of the 36 schools. It is in Chicago Public Schools. It is in Deerfield. It is in Naperville. It is everywhere in the state of Illinois, so long as one rogue teacher decides to push this agenda in the classroom or an extracurricular time, whatever it is. And we actually sounded the alarm in February 26, 2023, a secret school LGBTQ lunch club in Oregon, Illinois, which is one of the districts that is being investigated by the DOJ, where a fifth grade teacher, this Elizabeth Goncars, was actually having secret lunch meetings in her classroom with a group that grew to 40 students. And she was saying, we need to reject the patriarchy and talking about pride. And it was grooming behavior. She is still employed in this district. So these things are happening. Parents have to be so intentional in submitting opt-out forms and asking questions of anyone entrusted with their child. But we welcome this throughout the state of Illinois, this investigation. And, I think that this is going to be continuing down the road with even bigger districts that are clearly committing these infractions.
Good morning, Shannon. This is Susie Moore. Of course, this is just an investigation that's been launched, and it's, obviously in preliminary stages. But what is it, given that it seems like this issue is as pervasive as you've mentioned, what is it about these particular districts, the 36 that are under investigation, that has tipped it in the scales in favor of investigating them?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's suspected that this cluster of schools is tied to a particular federal grant that was received in the last, I don't know, however many years. So I think that was one of the criteria. But I also can't help but speculate, this is just me speculating, that they're kind of going for the lowest hanging fruit. In other words, areas that maybe aren't as large a school district as Chicago Public Schools. They don't have a super woke machine behind them, and they're probably going to be more compliant. And I can tell from talking to some of the school board members and parents in these districts, I think they are eager to be compliant and to fix anything that may need to get fixed versus a school like Chicago Public Schools, which is just, or Evanston, which is so fully committed to this indoctrination model. So I think they're going to maybe use this cluster as a case study and look, you can be compliant or you lose your funding. And if you don't fall in line, bigger schools like Chicago Public Schools, et cetera, then we're going to sue you. So I feel like this is kind of the first hammer to come down in Illinois, but it's making national news. You have really big media outlets covering this. You have pretty big social media accounts covering this. So they can't really pretend like this isn't happening. They're going to have to confront it head on. And this is a warning shot to every school board across the state of Illinois. Knock this stuff off. We know it's happening. Parents, meanwhile, have to put the opt-out forms that we provide people, awakeil.com/forms. But this all should be, if you're going to have children learning about transgenderism in kindergarten per the National Sex Ed Standards and radical comprehensive sexual education, make that opt-in or give those resources to the parents and they can choose. No more of this. We're going to be secretive, have gender support plans that parents don't know about. I think that the jig is up here and you can't unsee it any longer.
Yeah, and that's I think maybe the bigger part of this, as horrible as everything you just described is, but it's the fact that it looks like, at least what's being investigated, Shannon, is that the school districts were doing this covertly, not telling the parents it was happening, not giving them a chance to opt out. At least that's the accusation on that. If that turns out to be true, then I think the only rational conclusion is that it is systemic and it is abusing the role of the school districts in order to indoctrinate and groom kids.
100%. And for example, the teacher in Oregon School District 220 that was having these secret LGBTQ lunch groups, she should be fired. Once this audit has taken place and you see there is staff that has gone rogue or has violated parental rights, they need to be fired. That is a problem staffer, and they need to go. So, I think we're going to have to show here that this is not going to be tolerated. Why would we tolerate people who are overriding parental rights and grooming children on gender identity and sexual orientation? An adult that is that eager to talk to children about sex and sexuality is already a red flag. And if they're doing it covertly without parent opt-in or, informed consent, then that's a huge red flag. And these people should not be entrusted with children.
Shannon, we heard a clip from Harmeet Dillon talking about this, and she referenced the Supreme Court decision from last year, the Mahmoud decision out of Maryland, which involved parental notification and opt-out ability. Do we know, did schools in Illinois, react in any way to that Supreme Court decision last year? Did they change up their procedures in order to be in compliance with it, or did they just sort of hand wave it away?
No, I think they're just like, well, we're Illinois. We're going to keep going down this path of grooming and indoctrinating kids. But, if they know that parents are paying attention and they're getting the good questions, they're getting these opt-out forms, that is what I think districts want to see before they change course. So our number one advocacy effort is to empower parents. Like, you can get as mad as you want at a teacher or a school district, but if parents are apathetic and not paying attention or standing in the gap, then of course these schools are just going to keep doing what they've always been doing and grooming kids or presuming parents aren't paying attention. But we have forms at awakeil.com/forms that reference these Supreme Court wins to protect parental rights. You have Mahmoud, which was religious objection to some of these highly sexual woke books, and so they preserved opt-out for that reason. And then you have Mirabelli, which was where staffers in California were being forced to use pronouns. And we're highlighting now through last night, my social media, I posted Chicago Public Schools. I got training materials that are given to teachers pre-K through 12, really going all in on this agenda and saying, yeah, affirm with pronouns, yay, like celebrating it. But we have some strong Supreme Court precedents that protects sanity and protects common sense. It's just a matter of whether Illinois parents are really going to be involved in asking these questions and standing in the gap for their kids. That's what we want to see more of, is parents go on offense now that the DOJ is paying attention. And God bless Harmeet Dillon and her team. I think they're going to do some good work here.
Okay, so I've just got a minute or so left. Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois. Mike Tobin from Fox News was doing the story on this last night, and he sort of encapsulated the responses from a couple of high-profile Illinois politicians. Here's what I caught on Fox News' report, and respond to this.
Now, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker dismissed the new investigation as a sham aimed at punishing states President Trump does not like. Democrat Illinois Senator Dick Durbin said if President Trump cared about students, he would reverse a decision to dismantle the Department of Education and stop attacking the rights of LGBTQ students. The ACLU says the Trump administration is wrongly interpreting federal law.
Okay, your reaction?
Well, all they have is spin, because they lose on this issue, not just in Illinois, but across the country. So that's all they can say, is that it's a sham, but it's not. We have the receipts that this is happening, and we have the Supreme Court on our side to protect parental rights. So, of course, J.B. Pritzker, who is all in on this agenda. He tweeted once, like, hey, boys, go into the girls' bathrooms. I mean, he's all in on this. So, of course, he's going to say it's a sham, but it's not. And this is a huge warning call to all Illinois school districts to really be transparent and start adopting more pro-parent, pro-child policy making, so that you don't have to face these audits in the future. But parents really have to pay attention. Who cares what Pritzker says? Durbin also said something about it being a sham. They're just following a script, but they know that they lose on this issue. Parents do not want their children groomed or sexualized in K through 12 schools, and they're done with it.
Yeah, and you warned us on this show like over a year ago. So, Shannon, appreciate you being back on. People, especially those in Illinois, they need to be connected with you. What's the way to do it? And by the way, Missourians, by the way, don't think for a minute this isn't happening in Missouri, too, just because it's a red state. I'm just saying, this isn't just about Illinois.
It's everywhere.
But Shannon, people want to get in touch with you. Best way to do it is what?
Well, follow us on X at awake_IL. Our website is awakeil.com. I would add to go to our forms page, opt out. And if you are in another market that's not Illinois, send us an email. And if you need a resource, we'll be glad to customize something for you.
Okay, 314-912-1019. By the way, that conversation with Shannon, that is up on the News Talk STL podcast. Just go to News Talk STL or News Talk STL on any of the podcast platforms. Look up Mike Ferguson in the morning, and please share that discussion, especially to anybody you know in Illinois. Oh, by the way, Wednesday, you know what that means? It's time that you start sending in your bump music request for Flashback Friday. So send those in to Jerome. We're getting a lot of those requests in. Get yours in early, and you can get it on his radar sooner and have a better chance of hearing your song on Friday. All right, this is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control. Country Mart's massive meat sale this Thursday and Friday, February 5th and 6th. A sale so big we could only call it a massive meat sale. Premium sliced bacon, $3.49 a pound. Boneless ribeyes, $8.99 a pound. Baby back pork ribs, $2.99 a pound. Boneless pork loins, $1.89 a pound. Boneless beef tenderloins, $12.99 a pound. Visit our Facebook page to see everything. St. Clair Country Mart on Plaza Drive in St. Clair. Hurry while supplies last. Sorry, no rain checks.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Starting to see a few more videos popping up on people talking about the whole tax cut proposal on the Missouri side.
Oh.
Obviously, it's very controversial, but just from the comms guy perspective, the communications guy perspective, it's really interesting to me to see how the evolution of the debate is happening. A couple different things. One is that the opponents of it, and listen, there's some opponents who have some very defensible positions on it. But they want to talk about everything except the income tax part of it. And it's an income tax elimination proposal.
So is this an evolution of the debate or a devolution of the debate?
I think, yes.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because, again, the whole debate should be around not only getting rid of income tax, but also how can we pad that loss of revenue and what all it would entail. So if you're only focusing on, well, see, they're going to do this, just ignore that they're going to cut that, then that doesn't seem like an honest debate.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's strategic, and that's the thing. It's funny because I was talking to Dennis Ganal at our event last week, and I told him, I said, if I were hired to oppose this, if I were hired to oppose the income tax result, and I've been a communications guy, I've been a consultant, I've been a comms director, this is what I do for a living. I said, if I were hired to run against you on this, the last thing I would do is try to go fact for fact and try to get into the nuance and the weeds. Now that what I would do is just create worry and confusion. That's what I would do.
So the appeal to pathos, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So I, for instance, saw for the first time, I think in a long time, I got a Facebook reel from Ashley Awney, who's the Democratic leader in the Missouri House. And she put up her objection to the income tax cut because, I mean, obviously Democrats, and this is, I'm not being snarky or pejorative, Democrats oppose tax cuts. They think government should get the first cut of everything because they think government is the basis of society and community. Again, I'm not being snarky. I'm just saying that's what makes them Democrats. That's what puts you on the left. That's part of the core belief is that it is very government-centric, government-first thinking. Okay, but what's interesting is she didn't address the income tax cut or reduction at all. Everything was focused on the sales tax hike. And that was brought up at our town hall the other day. Because there's no guarantee that there's going to be a sales tax hike. However, it is fair to say, but there will be things subject to sales tax that are not subject to sales tax now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is a fair. But the interesting thing, and also when you look at the people who were Well, they say they're Republicans or they say they're conservatives, but they're opposing the income tax cut. And there's a lot of bickering online about this, or the income tax. All they're focusing on is the sales tax increase. Well, first of all, there's no guarantee that there will be, but there might be. And I was talking to somebody I've known a long time, and he really opposes the income tax cut. We'll probably have him on the show here at some point, because I've given the pro income tax cut folks plenty of time, and there's nothing wrong with having the other side on. And he goes, but it's going to triple the income tax or the sales tax. I'm like, well, we addressed that, and that's not true for a variety of reasons. He says, but that's the only way that you can balance the budget and replace that revenue. Well, no, not exactly. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting that the opponents, and by the way, if you're the Democrats basically are kind of shutting up about this. I mean, if you think about it, because there are enough Republicans who are opposing a tax cut that all they need to do is have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% of Republicans get suspicious or unsure or questioning it, and then the Republicans can defeat this. That's really where it's at right now.
Never interrupt your opponent when they are in the middle of making a mistake.
Sun Tzu, you've read Sun Tzu as well. Yeah. So I just think it's fascinating how the narrative. So this is going to be a battle of narration, because the reality is that it is complex. There are no simple concepts that describe the whole thing. I would encourage you. I think Americans for Prosperity is making like a full produced version of the town hall meeting the other day, but you can go to their Facebook, you can go to my Mike Ferguson Media Facebook page, and you can listen to the entire thing. And it's, because like, for instance, we got into the weeds, we asked those questions about the tax increase, rate and all that, sales tax and all that kind of stuff. So we actually went pretty deep into it, but that's really nuanced. And putting something very nuanced on a ballot where most people do not dig into nuance means the narrative wins the day one way or the other.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing of human behavior that I've noticed over the years is that it's a lot easier to get people to act based on motivation of fear than it is based on motivation of support or excitement. Right. Because if you could be excited about something and say, yeah, that's totally going to work, and then stay on the sidelines. Yeah. But if you were legitimately fearful of something, then you're going to show up and try to stop whatever you fear. And if that fear is not based on reality or truth, then you need to correct that.
It's easy to act on emotion. It's difficult to think things through.
Yes.
That's the big thing. So I want to point that. I just thought that was pretty interesting on here. Okay. A quick story. Okay. So Ethan, our sales guy, and I, we ran out to visit with the folks at the Nutrition Stop yesterday. And so yes, they're like clients, but I'm just kind of part of the crew over there now.
You like them a lot.
I think they like me. So I walk in, and of course, and now I can do like dumb stuff. So we walk into Nutrition Stop, and I walk in first. I think it was Dawn who was at the front register. And usually I walk in, it's like, hey, Mike, how's it going? You know where you're finding stuff, all that kind of stuff. But I walk in, and Dawn's like, hey, Mike, how you doing? And I'm like, hey, I'm really hungry. Do you have any donuts? And she just kind of does the cocked head thing, and then there's what's said, and then there's what's said without saying it. So what was said is, no, Mike, we don't have any donuts at Nutrition Stop. And then there was what's not said. No, Mike, we don't have any donuts, dumbass.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't pay, don't paint vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy's serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. While hinting that a final agreement to end the Iran war could be close at hand, President Trump is pausing Project Freedom. Writing on Truth Social, he says the effort to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz is being put on hold for a short period of time to see whether the agreement can be finalized. Iran's top diplomat meets with his Chinese counterpart in Beijing.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told Iran's Abbas Araghchi that China is deeply distressed over the war that's lasted more than 2 months. In a video of the meeting accessed by the AP, Wang says, "We believe that a comprehensive ceasefire is urgently needed, that a resumption of hostilities is not acceptable, and that it's particularly important to remain committed to dialogue and negotiations." It's the first time since the start of the war that Araghchi has travelled to China, whose close economic and political ties to Tehran give it a unique position of influence. I'm Charles Dillethesma.
Republicans wasting no time pursuing redistricting efforts across the South.
This follows a high court ruling that affects majority African-American congressional districts. South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, and Louisiana are all considering changes. Republican leaders in South Carolina are targeting a district held by a longtime black Democratic lawmaker. Alabama is debating legislation for a special congressional primary.
And that's correspondent Andrew Stewart. Trump-endorsed candidates really cleaned up in the Indiana State Senate primaries. Of the 7 challengers endorsed by President Trump, at least 5 of them won. One incumbent senator prevailed, and the 7th race too close to call. U.S. Senator Jim Banks calling it a big night for MAGA in Indiana. The Dow futures up 541 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 450. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. details. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs back towards the 60-degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. We'll continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Remember when food tasted like home? When breakfast was made from scratch and dessert was worth saving room for? At Shorty's Diner, we're serving up down-home breakfasts, lunches, and desserts just like Mom used to make. Fresh, from scratch, every single day. Step back in time with us, where the booths are cozy, Elvis is always in the building, and every plate feels like a hug.
Calling all Vic heads. Ken and I will be doing our show live from Shorty's Diner this Friday. Stop by for a delicious breakfast or lunch and say hi at Shorty's Diner on Lackland in Westport.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story. It was on this date, 1937. The Hindenburg blew up.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Interesting development in that stabbing situation at Busch Stadium this week.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
No, I saw it when the news broke of the incident.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening?
Well, the prosecutor's office says we're not filing charges. No charges.
Oh.
They have emphatically said we will not be filing charges.
Is it a self-defense situation?
Well, they're not. Okay, so that's what it looks like, to this. But I think it's kind of interesting because what you had is a 27-year-old man named Aaron Jones, who was the one who died.
Okay.
And he and the other guy involved were third-party vendors. Basically, it looks like at least one, if not both of them, worked for a cleaning company that Busch Stadium hires to contract out to clean whatever it is that they clean there.
Did they work for the same company?
That's what's not clear.
Okay.
I don't know. So, but what it appears is that they ended up with a personal beef.
Okay.
Is what it looks like. I mean, because at one point they were like, they worked for third-party vendors, plural. Were they, mad at each other for business, or was it personal? We don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But the circuit attorney's office put out a statement saying that they've reviewed the entire situation. And this is, 2 days after it happened, because this happened early Monday morning.
I was going to say they were showing the video of it yesterday morning, like
right.
Almost seeming like it had happened overnight.
Right. It was about 2:45 or 2:30 in the morning on Monday, because it happened just hours after we started our show, or before we started our show.
Okay.
On Monday. And so the statement came out right away that they said that they will not be filing charges. So, some reporters obviously were saying, okay, well, why not? And their answer was, well, we don't give specific reasons why we don't file charges. We'll give reasons why we do file charges, but we're not going to justify not filing a charge, which I think is interesting. But here's the statement that was released from the circuit attorney's office. The circuit attorney's office has declined to file charges in connection with the stabbing death that occurred early Monday morning at Busch Stadium. The circuit attorney's office does not disclose its reasons for declining charges. Our attorneys carefully review the facts and evidence in each case and make charging decisions based on the law and the facts. Homicide investigations often involve complex legal questions, including issues related to self-defense. We extend our deepest condolences to the family of 27-year-old Aaron Jones, who lost his life in that incident. So it sounds to me like they're saying we can't really say why we're not charging, but we're going to throw in the word self-defense there.
Just to give you that.
Just,
little hint.
We're not saying that that's what it is. We're just not saying that's what it's,
Well, I will say this.
Yeah.
That, to me, is basically the only reason I can think of why they wouldn't file charges. You've got somebody who's dead at the hands of somebody else, and that's known.
Which is actually the definition of homicide. People think homicide means murder.
No,
necessarily. It can, but homicide means
get a little
one
Venn diagram.
Right. Homicide means one person caused the death of another person.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, accidental
Mhm.
would be one. It's pretty hard to stab someone that you've had a beef with accidentally.
That's right.
So, that's the logical inference, but it is interesting. I know there was an age differential. I think that the
65 and 27.
Yeah, which, there's plenty of perfectly hardy hale 65-year-olds. It's not,
sure.
I don't think it's a situation like an elderly person.
Mhm.
Obviously still working. Yeah, that's the only conclusion you can draw, but I suspect the family of the decedent is may not be particularly pleased with that
Probably
information.
not. Yeah, probably not. I wouldn't think so. I have run into a couple of people that I know. I know one friend of mine who lost a son in a gunfight. And the police, and it was interesting because when I saw him, just a day or two after it happened, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. What he goes. His answer was, let the police do their job. Let's figure out what happened. He goes, while I'm trying to process all this. Well, the police said his son was at fault.
Wow.
And his reaction was, looks like my son was at fault.
Oof,
and he, but I think that's probably the exception to the rule. What you're describing is probably more common.
Yeah. And if they were on the job when this happened, that's going to involve the employer as well in terms of.
Yep.
I don't want to get too craven about this, but like from a financial standpoint, it sometimes can be hard to bring a civil lawsuit against somebody. I don't know what the financial situation of the older man is, but
he's working at 2:30 in the morning at Busch Stadium, so I'm guessing
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Not
like,
too affluent,
but the employer may have something. There may be essentially like work comp kind of situation. But when you've got a stabbing, I don't know. My lawyer brain's turning on and seeing all kinds of problems with this.
So you've got the lawyer brain. I've got the old reporter brain, which I'm not a reporter, journalist anymore, but I used to early in my career. I covered crime scenes.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of crime scene stuff with a lot of the cones, a lot of chatting with the cops that I got to know. I did that for years. And what I'm reading between the lines into all of this is whatever the beef was, the guy who ended up unfortunately dying was labeled to be the aggressor. And it sounds like the 65-year-old was a victim. And the fact that they even threw the word self-defense. Now, they did not say this was self-defense.
No, they didn't.
They just dangled the words out there, like this. And to me, that's a message that says there are a variety of things, including self-defense, that are factored in. I get why they're not describing why they made that decision.
Yeah.
Because if you decide to charge somebody, then the burden of proof is on you, as it should be, and then you have to justify why. In this case right here, the fact that happened so quickly, and they said, no, we're out.
What's interesting, too, is it seems like, and I know that this isn't necessarily the rule, but it just seems like so often in cases like this, it's the opposite, where they go too hard at charging somebody who may have been justified in defending themselves, and then there's a whole tussle over, was this justified or not? This seems to be very much not that, which just is not the usual situation, I don't think.
I agree that this is very different than what I've seen. So because Gabe Gore seems to be pretty on top of it at that circuit attorney's office. So what my personal guess, just based on this limited information that anybody can look up, is that it looks like it was probably a very clear-cut case of self-defense.
And I'm guessing there is clear video of it.
Yeah.
That's the
and
only
witnesses
that's the only thing I can take from that is that there's something. Yeah, I would say video more than witnesses because witnesses are not necessarily the most reliable. Given where it happened, there probably is video footage of it. So that's to me the one thing that I could see prosecutors looking at it and going, there's no way here.
Yeah, exactly. Also, around the same time, just a day or two before that, we had all those car break-ins right around
by
Busch Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out that there were 5 juveniles detained. I can't find anywhere where the word arrest is listed, but detained.
Yeah.
So 5 juveniles detained in connection with that string of car break-ins, and also they believe involved in other sort of lower level crimes.
There probably was surveillance footage.
Yeah. So now that's all that we have, and I haven't seen anything updated since, for the last over 24 hours, on that. But a little bit later on today, we're going to chat with our friends from the Show Me Institute because they did an interesting podcast that they just released a day or so ago regarding there's a clear trend. People who have opportunities, that's how they're describing it. And that's a good way to do it. Basically you've got young professionals, you've got maybe people who are getting into, retirement, or they're in that stage of life where they're going to decide where to settle down or whether to start a career or whether to start a family. And they've got the choice to take an opportunity in St. Louis, but they're going to Nashville, they're going to Austin, they're going to Dallas, they're going to other places. And I would say, well, why? But we know why. They're not choosing the city, and they're not generally choosing, to some degree, the metro as well, but particularly not the city. And so they had a really interesting deep dive into that on their podcast. So we're going to get some of the highlights later on. And then you've got these situations in the very place that the city is desperate to change the reputation of.
Right.
And they just can't seem to do it because stuff like this keeps happening.
Well, it's a chicken and egg thing.
Yep.
We did see the city take the proactive response after 314 day got out of hand and impose the curfew and kind of crack down. And that seemed to have the desired effect. So it tells you something we should all already understand. And that is when you have a robust police presence and a kind of preemptive approach to policing, you tend to cut down on the shenanigans.
Right.
And I mean, the resources, maybe they're not there, but they need to be.
But it takes a lot longer than, hey, things have been going pretty well for the last month or two before families go,
years.
Okay, I'm going to move my family there and put my kids in your schools.
It takes years.
Yeah, if not a generation.
Yeah. What doesn't take years, however, is getting your Flashback Friday requests into one Jerome. Producer Jerome, that's right. He wants to hear from you. He wants your 80s Flashback Friday requests so that we can have a fun time enjoying the bump music on Friday. Get them into Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Well, there you go again. Listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This is your cousin. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Grab your shotgun and mark your calendar. The 11th annual Jeff Hansen Memorial Foundation Sporting Clay event is Saturday, May 16th at Black Hawk Valley Hunting Preserve in Old Monroe, Missouri. Enjoy 56 clays, breakfast, and lunch, all included, for just $195 per person. Or enter a team of 4 with a golf cart for $750. There'll be door prizes, gun raffles, and trophies for top teams and top shooters. Reserve your spot by May 8th at jeffhansenmemorialfoundation.org.
License number GL250000615.
We've seen all kinds of clogs, so remember the rule. Only flush 3 things. Number 1, number 2, and toilet paper.
What about my dinosaurs?
No?
My monster truck?
Nope.
What about...
If it's not the big 3, don't flush it.
But if someone does flush a dinosaur...
Call Grasser. We clear the clog and get things moving again.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so we're going to bring one of our discussions that we had after the show yesterday and just invite everybody else to join in. Now, I was tempted to go, okay, is this one of those kids these days? But I don't know if it's necessarily that. So Susie has a Walmart story that you were telling us, and it's funny how, like, Jerome and me and our boss Jeff were like, oh, I know. And because things have changed so much, basically customer service, is that essentially a lost art? I mean, for a so-called service economy that's obviously transitioning into whatever's next, digital or whatever, digital or AI, but in theory, a service economy, there's really not any concept of customer service or even etiquette involved. And that debacle that you dealt with at Walmart, just run with it there.
Okay, I got to set it up like this.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was a Target girl just because that's what was close to us. So I have a built-in bias, and I Target and Walmart are different, but they serve a similar role in people's lives in terms of kind of like the one-stop shop for a lot of different stuff, clothing, groceries, household items, that sort of thing. So I'm going to compare them, even though I recognize that they are slightly different business models. My comfort zone is Target. Okay, sorry, stuck up snob, whatever. But, that doesn't mean I don't ever go to Walmart. I do, but I always find when I do that it's sort of disorienting because I'm not used to it, and it just seems like, I don't know, like more chaotic and less, it's a less pleasant shopping experience.
I stopped going to the Walmart on Hanley Road because every time I go there are police cars with lights flashing in front of the
Walmart. So, and I didn't even go to the one that I normally go to if I'm going to go. I decided, I was like, they're almost equidistant from my house. And I was like, oh, I'll go to the other one. I never go to that one. So I go and I walk in and it's kind of crowded and there's a few things I need to get. And they're kind of in all different places in the store. So I'm a little discombobulated because I'm not even familiar with the layout of that store. And so I'm kind of wandering around. I will say this. One young person was very kind when I asked where the greeting cards were. They pointed me to where they were without issue. That was perfectly fine. But then when I go to check out, so I have like 6 items, including a bottle of wine. Okay. The self-checkout lanes are closed. You cannot access them. I later came to learn that Walmart is completely phasing it out.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that at that moment.
Right.
But yeah, they're doing away with them.
My guess is most stores eventually will.
From a, I guess, loss prevention standpoint.
Yeah, it's a theft issue.
So you have to stand in line, and there's only maybe 3 checkout people. And so the lines are a little bit long, and people have big, gigantic grocery carts, and their kids hanging off of them, and it's like, it's chaos. So I picked the one that looks to be the longest or the shortest, and then I'm sitting there for a few minutes, and I'm like, okay, this is not going to be the shortest. So I move to a different line. Well, then that line becomes longer than it should have because the person checking out was having an issue with their card and it wasn't being accepted and yada, yada, yada. So and I ended up not saving much time doing that. So I'm in line, 10 minutes, whatever. I finally get up to the checkout person and she looks at me and she goes, "Do you have alcohol?" And I said, "Yes." Like feeling, wait, is there a problem with that?
How dare you?
I'm like, sorry.
Jesus will be mad at you. No, okay.
And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "I can't check you out." Okay, I understand. If someone's under the age of 21, they're not allowed to check out someone. So normally my experience has been if that happens, that they call somebody over to serve in their place. She says that to me, and she points behind her to the other cashier, and she says, "She can check you out," and then walks away. There's people behind me in line. Her light had been on. She just
walked off.
She just walked off. There wasn't even a, let me go see if I can find someone. It was just, she can get you. Sayonara. And I turn around and look, and the woman she pointed to had already turned her light off because she was closing out her check. I mean, I don't know who was going to be replacing these people.
Let's do the visual here. Walmart has, 20 lanes that are built, and they usually have, 3 people who are actually working the checkout.
Yes. There were many unoccupied lanes. Yeah. And so I'm looking, and there was, a guy behind me, and he's like, what is going on? And so I look at the gal that she pointed to, and I guess she kind of overheard things, and I said, and she looks at me and she goes, "Well, I'm done." She goes, "But come on, I'll check you out." Kind of frustrated. And I'm sure she was frustrated more with the other cashier than she was with me. But
don't you appreciate the burden that she went to check somebody out at the store?
She was a little put out by it. Let me just put it that way. And I was like, "Thank you so much." I was trying to be super nice, and it was meh. Whatever. And then the poor guy behind me is standing around what the heck just happened? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you because I don't think she's going to take you. I don't know what. So finally, 15 minutes later, I'm finally checked out and I'm walking out of there going, should have gone to Target.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, I'm sorry. I know that it's there's definite value to having, a lower cost store that you can get almost everything, anything at. I get that. I appreciate that. But good heavens, work on your customer service.
Well, and it's not just a Walmart thing.
No, it's not.
It's not. Now, I don't mean to stereotype it. I'm going to stereotype. The younger they are, what I've noticed is the less the customer service aspect is going to be of value to them. That's been just my overall stereotype that I'm gonna say. And if somebody does value that and they're really good, one of two things happens. It really stands out at a place like Walmart or wherever, or they get hired by Chick-fil-A.
Right. They either move up very, very quickly in the ranks at that store and become management, so they're no longer checking people out.
Yeah.
Or, yes, they move on to someplace that has a little bit more of a...
But we used to actually teach that. I mean, even, that was a big part. I used to teach when I was a recruiter and a trainer for a Fortune 500 company a long time ago. I wrote the recruiting and the training manuals that went into their national handbook. And I would do week-long classes teaching these young people how to do customer service. I would go into business colleges and do seminars on how to do customer service. And most of these people, and some of them were not just kids, they had never been taught basic etiquette. Much less, now I'm talking about business customer service. I'm talking about basic etiquette and communication to other human beings.
Right. Make eye contact, be polite, Yeah. No, that's definitely lacking. And I agree with you that it tends to be the younger the people are, the less is an issue. However, the exception to that is, as you pointed out, like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Culver's. Now, those are food joints, not stores. So there's a difference there, too.
Yeah, but there's clearly a value on the customer service.
You can tell. It shows because
the
young people that you are interacting with do have those skills and they do exhibit, they do, you kind of notice it because they are exercising them. I will also give a shout out to Kohl's, which isn't quite an everything store because you can't get groceries and stuff there, but you can get a lot of stuff there. And in my experience, everyone at Kohl's is very polite.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. If you can get their attention.
Well, when you're checking out, you got their attention. I don't usually have to interact with them other than that. But I'm just saying, I've noticed that they seem to go out of their way. And then a lot of times they get done and they're like, there's a customer service survey on the bottom of our receipt. Would you mind filling it out? I mean, they do go that extra. So there are different companies that maybe emphasize that better to their employees or put a better premium on it. That was just one of those things where it was like, okay, this experience just played into every single negative stereotype I have, which is why I very rarely go to Walmart.
Scooter says, I guess this on Facebook, I think he said this, it's easier to find Waldo than a happy Walmart employee.
Well, Scooter, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Well, all the happy ones were working overnight, stocking the shelves while, little
Oh,
something.
I don't know
get
about
to the
that
night.
either. I know people that have held that position and were not happy with it either.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a happy place. Now, I will say this: in my prior life, I represented Walmart.
Yeah.
So I got to see it from the sort of security standpoint, and loss prevention and/or what's the word I'm looking for? Like personal injury.
Oh, liability. Yeah.
Standpoint. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a lawyer for 30 years. Liability. What's that word?
Yeah.
Coffee.
Get your coffee.
I need it. So I did see that angle, and the people I worked with from that perspective were a little bit more professional.
Right. So is this one of those darn kids these days, everything's going to hell in a handbasket? Or is this a matter of we're just losing, because this isn't just about Walmart. I mean, let's be real.
No, I do think it's a corporate culture thing, though.
It's a corporate culture, but is it also a broader culture where we have isolated ourselves so much that we don't value being a polite, helpful person to other people around us? And believe me, I've caught myself going to that to where it's like, not my problem. What do I care?
Right.
I've done it too.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it all ties in together.
Maybe I can get a job at Walmart.
I think, yeah, you probably could. I don't know how long you'd want to keep it, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it all ties in together. It ties in with the fact that we don't interact with each other. I mean, a lot of our interactions are impersonal and online, and so then when we are in person, we're out of practice. I think less of a faith-based community.
Are you implying that communications online tend to not involve etiquette and politeness and concern for your fellow man?
I'm not implying that. I am flat out stating
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. The community, you don't have the community interaction the way you did back years ago. Faith surrounding, the either the community itself or the faith-based atmosphere.
Right.
And so, I think that all ties in together. But I do think a big part of it is corporate culture. I mean, we know there are companies that have made a conscious decision to make good customer service part of their brand. And there are companies that clearly have not.
Yeah.
Well, I think as well, it's not just that, it's the corporate environment. So when I worked for Walmart, I was one of the low cogs in the machine. I worked at Layaway, which is one of the most miserable places you could probably be in a Walmart because...
Yeah, layaway at Walmart. You're right.
It's a battle zone. It's a fight club, essentially. And then you'd get pulled wherever you were needed. But we were instructed, don't waste too much time with the customer. So smile, be polite, but then just get them, get in, get out. And a lot of people, when they're there, and studies have confirmed this across the board with retail and restaurant environments, there are a lot of people that go out and they will intentionally buy something they don't need just for the human interaction, just to talk to somebody to get out of the house.
Oh, yeah. We even had that
So-
at Fashion Gal back in the days.
And so I'm not saying that this is at all related to your things. I've had that same exact experience, and I can't believe that they didn't just get on the radio and say, hey, we need a 21 plus.
Oh, yeah.
But there is that factor of why were you wasting so much time on the floor talking to that person? Why were you wasting so much time at the checkout lane when it's somebody that's actually like, hey, how's your day going? Hey, thank you so much for, So I do think that corporate element of you are a cog, just get them in, get them out, take their money and smile about it, is really contributing to that factor of like, well, what's even the point of getting in trouble with my boss by being nice to this person anymore?
Well, yeah, but again,
That's
that ties into corporate culture.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say this right now as a paying customer of many different stores, I much prefer the ones that have actually gone the extra mile to say, we want your interaction with us to be pleasant.
I will do the same thing. How am I going to be treated? How am I going to feel, while I'm in there?
I don't care how fancy your store is, but don't be a jerk.
Right. And when I used to wait tables to get through college, I figured out early, to your point, there were some people who only went out to eat just so they could tell somebody else what to do and order them around.
Yeah.
That dynamic absolutely happens.
It does. People, man, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah.
Okay, no comment on that one. Some businesses and activists in St. Louis want their neighborhood surveilled by drones. I called it. Because safety. That's always what they say. It's because safety. We're going to explain that coming up here at 6:35 and why producer Jerome was right yet again.
Try to detect it. It's not too late to whip it. Whip it good. When I
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL.
I say whip it. Whip it good.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs back towards the 60-degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. Will continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
Looking for a great place to play golf and host your next event? Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge is more than just exceptional golf. Our clubhouse is the perfect spot for private parties, family get-togethers, and unforgettable celebrations. Make your special day even better with our welcoming atmosphere and outstanding service. Visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com, where great golf and great memories meet. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Stan Musial, he missed a season in his prime to serve his country in the Navy.
Honor a legend on Saturday, May 16th when the Cardinals face the Kansas City Royals. Fans can secure a Stan Musial military bobblehead presented by Coca-Cola and Deerbirds. This patriotic collectible celebrates Stan's Hall of Fame career and his service to our country. A true symbol of character on and off the field. A tribute worth displaying and remembering. Don't miss it. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
Paging all nurses and healthcare heroes. This night is for you. Join the Cardinals for Nurses Appreciation on Wednesday, May 20th and Thursday, May 21st at Busch Stadium. With a special theme ticket, you'll receive a healthcare-inspired Cardinal sweatshirt plus a coupon for a complimentary drink. It's our way of saying thank you for all that you do in our community. Don't miss the special theme at the ballpark. Details and tickets at cardinals.com/theme.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
What's going on, y'all? It's the Officer Tatum. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. God bless you guys. God bless America.
All right, when there aren't enough cops, should we enlist the drones to patrol?
Susie.
I think it depends.
All right. As always, RedState.com, your place to get caught up on all the news in one place. So let's find out what's going on there. Susie, what are we highlighting today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Today, our managing editor, Jennifer Van Laar, who is an intrepid investigative reporter, and she's been on this case from the get-go. I don't know if you remember this, but shortly after October 7th happened, there were protests, people out on the street in L.A., and there was a scuffle. One gentleman pushed another gentleman. Right. He fell back, hit his head, and died.
Yeah.
Okay, that case has finally come to fruition. And what we're finding out is that a California judge allegedly bypassed the DA to offer this pro-Hamas professor a sweetheart deal for killing a Jewish man.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, now that sentence has not been finally imposed. That's not going to be till the end of June, but there's a lot of digging into the particulars here. In other words, this man shoved another man, caused his death, and may get a very, very, very light sentence that wasn't even, the Soros-backed DA doesn't even approve of.
Right, and this was a very elderly man that was...
He was in his late 60s. Yeah. I'm not going to say very elderly.
But when you look at his... you look pictures of him, he was not in great health to start with.
No, he was not
he was susceptible to be a victim.
Correct. I just don't like saying 60s is very elderly.
He looks older. He looked older than that in the picture.
He was like 68 or 69 maybe.
I'm surprised that he's only in the 60s.
I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and check. But in any event, she's all over that story. You definitely want to check out her reporting because she does not let detail go unaddressed. So that's big. Nick Arama has this piece up. Katie Porter tries to change her image with new ad and interviews, but it goes south. The California gubernatorial race is still going on. Katie Porter, of course, is one of the frontrunners for the Democrats. She has apparently lost weight, I'm going to guess, with the help of like a GLP-1 because it doesn't really look good, right in her face. And she did this sort of interview round. Doesn't help her. Last but not least, Bob Hogue has this one. Georgia Senator John Ossoff has a few 100,000 reasons to stay mum on the SPLC scandal.
Okay.
You can probably infer what that's about.
Yes, exactly. All right, 6:37 right now. Okay, so the Hill, in the city, one of the cooler neighborhoods, I think, in the city. It really is not even just for the restaurants. It's just kind of a fun place. So there's some community groups, including the Hill 2000 Neighborhood Association and their local business group, the Hill Business Association. They are proposing the use of drones to patrol the streets and the public areas at night. So literally at night, the drones would fly along the streets, patrolling. And as proposed now, and you can find this, Channel 2 has the story on this one, the drone patrols would focus on public spaces, in particular during the evening and overnight hours. And so the organizers of these groups, they're promising that the technology would not be used to monitor private property or homes or backyards or schools or playgrounds. And they said the programs would not use facial recognition systems or conduct surveillance of individuals. So they want a program that would be, and I'm going to use their words here, or operated by certified professionals with clear policies, oversight, and strong privacy protections. And so they're asking for community support, and they're asking for donations to fund equipment, operations, and coordination so they can launch a drone program. They say the effort is to basically just make things safer, but they're trying to preempt the privacy aspect of this as well. And you know what? For some reason, what movie keeps coming into my mind when I say that, even though drones were not part of the movie, it was the concept, okay? Because drones didn't exist when this movie came out. Jerome, have you ever seen V for Vendetta?
Oh, that's my watch list.
That's in your wheelhouse right there. And, of course, they did the drive-by patrolling and all that kind of stuff and that sort of thing. Now, drones didn't exist when that movie was made, so they didn't have that. But for some reason, that's like the noir concept that kept coming in my head when I'm reading this story here.
And Britain's already doing something like that. They will have police vans equipped with surveillance equipment and multiple 360 cameras drive into public areas and various location points and surveil people. I know somebody in the UK that's sending me photos of these. It's absolutely... Now, apparently, people want to bring that here.
So in this case right here, what you've got is the police are not proposing this. The neighborhood groups are proposing this. And right now they're saying, okay, well, just at night when there's big stuff, but we'll just have the drones flying around with their cameras and feeding it back too far.
Mm-hmm.
We promise.
Yeah, I mean, so, okay, what if they listed a bunch of things that they're definitely not going to be doing.
Right.
But what are they going to be doing exactly? Like what?
Yeah, basically, I think it'd be kind of the equivalent of a flying mall cop, observe and report.
Right.
Is what it sounds like.
So how can you observe and report, but not observe and report in a way that's invading people's privacy?
I think that is a exceptionally fair question.
I mean, the vision can only be on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other half of that, too, is let's say they do stumble upon some potentially, not verified, but potentially suspicious activities. Is a drone just going to hover and follow you around? I mean, until you wave them down and say, I'm not the bad guy or whatever. Because if I was a bad guy doing something bad and the drone's staring at me, I'm going to say, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Presumably that would then signal for actual officers to come check the situation out.
That's the observe and report thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I have been profiled because when I was at the peak of being a metalhead. I mean, I wasn't doing anything illegal. It was nighttime. I had the full legal, I wasn't under curfew or anything like that. But I could objectively say that there are times where I have looked like a suspicious. Well, I probably still do.
I was going to say you're kind of suspicious now.
But at times maybe.
Then now I'm going to have some dork with a drone identify me, and then I'm going to have to deal with some cops, even though I wasn't doing anything.
Jerome, I mean that you could be susceptible to that, whether we're talking drones or cops, like actual human beings. If they're profiling someone based on how they look and maybe they seem suspicious, that could be happening whether it was being from a drone or a person.
But there's a difference between a human interaction to actually clarify things and or an actual being identified by a human being or being remotely observed by a Panacampian surveillance.
No, but the point of the drones is that then that would require somebody human to come in and assess the situation. It's not like they're going to arrest you from a drone.
Well, no, but again, I think you're missing what I'm saying here. So if I was loitering, let's say I'm outside of a gas station, it's nighttime, and you are like, I don't feel safe going into that gas station because this guy is sitting on the corner. there is a element of human interaction to where we could either have a conversation or you could then like determine more so whether or not you have a reasonable suspicion for not trusting me being on the side of the gas station. If it's a drone, objectively aerial view looking down on somebody, how do you determine if that's somebody that's up to no good or somebody that's like, oh, I'm on my break and I'm just...
You don't, but what's the drone going to do?
I don't know.
It's going to call in a person to assess the situation.
Yeah, or whoever's monitoring it, yeah.
So who would they contact? You can contact the store manager and say, from the little pump and say, hey, look, there's somebody out here. Is he okay?
But the human interaction you're talking about is you're saying it would be better if it was an actual cop that was walking the beat.
Or a neighborhood watch group.
Right. What I'm saying is the drone is the intermediary point. Then you get from the drone to that exactly what you're saying would be okay.
I understand. I just don't like that dynamic.
I appreciate that, but I don't think that's the reason. I mean, I don't think that's the problem with it. I think the problem with it is how do you deploy this sort of surveillance system that that somehow has blinders and doesn't invade people's privacy. The judgment calls are still going to have to come from humans. The judgment calls aren't coming from the drones, whether the drone is the first to pick up on something or not.
Yeah, unless they have some kind of AI weird thing, which eventually probably.
But in terms of doing anything with you or to you,
right? Because they made statements like we're not going to monitor backyards or anything, because we've had that question earlier. Somebody wanted to do this over some of the parks in St. Louis in the city, and the city was like, no, you're not going to, because they wanted to just monitor and patrol the park. And that neighborhood, I forgot which one it was, but they're like, no, we don't want that.
Well, and how's that any different than having fixed cameras?
Well, I don't think it is, other than just
the coverage.
Thing. Yeah,
it's the coverage.
Yeah, I don't
right,
think it
but the bottom line is, I don't know how you have this sort of mobile surveillance system that doesn't infringe on people's privacy rights. If you're, and if it's limited to like the street view of something, then it would seem to me you could have a fixed camera as opposed to a mobile. I don't know. I understand why people might think this is a good idea. I mean, if you substitute a drone for a beat cop, if you just think of those in the same sense, and what's a beat cop normally doing? They're kind of walking the street, checking things out, keeping an eye on things. They're not actively pursuing anybody in particular unless and until they see a crime being committed or something criminal seeming to unfold. So to me, that's the same thing, and there might be an advantage to that, but I think you could have a lot of issues from a privacy standpoint.
Does it matter if this is a privately owned and deployed versus police owned and deployed?
Well, how are you getting the consent of the people that are being surveilled?
Yeah, so that doesn't change either way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and again, if I were to buy a drone and then I'm like, well, I want to get on this action too, and I start launching my own drones and watch, people were going crazy over that. Though. Why are people, like random private people, allowed to spy on me in public, right? How is this any different except that this has a specific group within a community saying, hey, for the sake of all of us, we're going to make this decision and get the funding for it?
Yeah, now if you are truly in public, though, law's pretty clear. You don't have a privacy issue at all.
No, I'm talking about like looking at people's windows and their backyards or whatever.
You fly over my backyard.
Or audio. Like, what are you picking up on audio?
Yep.
Now, Scooter says the drone lets someone know that someone is watching. There's a potential deterrent effect there.
I actually accept that. I think there absolutely is. The question is, at what cost? I mean, I think he's right. There is a deterrent. I mean, but what's at what cost? Is it worth it? Is the question. Maybe the answer is yes to the Hill. But that's the question. It is a deterrent. That's the whole point.
And if we're doing deterrents, like I said, I was part of every neighborhood watch group that I've ever lived in the city of. And you know what else is a deterrent? Having actual people that can immediately respond to situations like that. I mean, so why not just put an actual, let's just say, hey, we're going to fund an extra group of private security people to be armed and ready to go.
I think that's the issue, is having the resources and the people, the manpower in order to do that. Yeah. This is supposed to kind of supplement that or help alleviate the cost of that.
Downtown St. Louis just had how was it, $500,000 grant for the downtown ambassadors to do just that, and they canceled the program after a year and a half.
Yeah, it didn't go so well.
It didn't go well at all.
There's no easy answer to that, but I'm leery of this. I will just say that. I'm not completely opposed, but I'm leery.
I'm sitting in my backyard and a drone flies over. I'm very accurate with baseballs.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what my social credit score is going to be in a few years.
Yeah, right? Well, in the meantime, how high are gas prices going to go? We've got the recap of what they are here in the metro at 6:50, and it is not pretty. All All right, guys, you have heard me talk about Window World before, and that's because they are one of only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And they're ranked number 1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They've been doing this for over 20 years, which is helping improve the look and energy efficiency of more than 80,000 homes right here in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. So if you've been thinking about new windows, you can call today for a free in-home estimate at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. What I like about Window World is the product itself. Their windows are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient, and they're built with double-strength glass that you don't typically see in replacement windows. And you're covered with a lifetime warranty, which includes parts, glass, breakage, and labor. That's a pretty big deal. They don't just do windows either. Window World can also help with siding and doors, basically everything on your exterior except a roof or garage door. And here's something a lot of companies don't offer. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week. That means including weekends. And it shows. Over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or referrals, which tells you a lot about their commitment to customer service. Plus, they're also big in the community. They've raised over $4 million over the years for charities like Action for Autism and St. Jude, and they are the preferred windows of your St. Louis Blues. Right now, they're offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So if you've been putting this off, now is a great time to act. Call Window World at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the move.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
This is Kirk Hilsinger, chairman of the St. Louis City Republican Party. Connect with us at stl-gop.com. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so the war against Iran just seems to be changing by the hour. So much going on there. Also, prosecutors will not charge the man involved in a stabbing death at Busch Stadium. This is interesting. And the Battlehawks are in a position to go to the postseason again, but they need a real good run in May. But things look pretty good right now for them. Okay. All right, 6:51 right now. Let's do our first news dump of the day.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news. The morning news dump.
All right, President Trump has called off so-called Project Freedom. That was an operation to guide stranded cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz amid the Iranian blockade. The Navy is warning ships to take a different route through the Strait of Hormuz after the Pentagon tells reporters that Iranian ships were laying mines again. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Walls, was on Hannity last night on Fox, says Tehran is lashing out in response to the U.S. blockade.
You can't respond
by throwing sea mines into international waterways and by trying to raise revenue by tolling international civilian shipping.
Okay, so Pakistan asked President Trump to pause the operation so that they could work on a deal. They're always working on a deal that is there. You got a handle on it, then it slips away, and that just seems to be the story here. U.S. ships apparently came under attack, but none were actually hit. The president says several small boats were sunk that were not U.S. boats. So basically, there's a ceasefire, except everybody's shooting at each other. But there's a ceasefire.
Yeah. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts. I'm trying to think of who it was. Oh, Marco Rubio gave the presser yesterday.
Right, yeah.
And actually, I thought he did a pretty nice job of explaining like where things stand.
Right.
So,
yeah. All right. President Trump doubling down on his criticism of Pope Leo ahead of the Secretary of State, speaking of Marco Rubio, of his visit to Vatican City.
Rubio, who is Catholic, will travel to Rome and Vatican City this week in a bid to ease rising tensions between the Trump administration and the Pope. Before the Secretary of State's departure, the president claimed Pope Leo believes it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon and that he's endangering Catholics and a lot of people. Leo has not said Iran should obtain nuclear weapons, but he has criticized the war against Iran generally and called for more peace talks. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Just going to say that diplomatically speaking, it's probably better that Marco Rubio go talk to the Pope than the president.
well, he is the top diplomat.
Yes. I'm just saying, I think the conversation
and he's
will go a
Catholic.
little bit. And he's, yeah. So he can speak the language.
Yeah, no, I mean, I a lot of what we're seeing is, the very public consumption back and forth in terms of the actual relations and that sort of thing. I'm not overly worried about it. I think it's just so much noise.
There's a lot of drama.
Yeah, I mean, and then I don't think I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in it. Let me just put it that way.
All right. AAA says the average price for a gallon of gas nationally is now $4.54 as of early this morning when I checked last. In Missouri statewide, the average cost is now $4.12 with prices here in the metro area, again, on the Missouri side, ranging from $4.19 on average, $4.19 to $4.37. I've actually seen it a little higher than that.
The QT on the way in here on Dorset is $4.39.
Yeah, I saw $4.39 on there. But what they do is they look at what's the average in each county and city. So the average is $4.19 to $4.37 on the Missouri side. On the Illinois side, the average price statewide is $4.99. Yeah, statewide prices in the metro area, Illinois side ranging from $4.84 to $4.94.
So, and what's interesting is, the prices had jumped up and then they had kind of moderated and gone back down, and it was like, okay, we're moving in the right direction, and now they've jumped way up.
Yep.
So I do believe this is a sort of a temporary kind of thing, but it has to be. It cannot. This is not sustainable.
No, not for the rest of the economy. It's not.
No, for any of us.
Anything, yeah. All right, no charges in connection with the stabbing death at Busch Stadium early Monday morning. That is the word from the circuit attorney's office, which declined to file any charges against the 65-year-old man involved in that altercation. Police say the dispute involved a cleaning crew that works for a vendor at the stadium. 27-year-old Aaron Jones died as a result of that fight. So ugly situation early Monday morning. And the indication is that self-defense may have played a role.
That's the easiest inference you can draw from it. If it was something else, we're left in the dark, but I got to believe that the family's probably still asking questions.
Yeah, I suspect so, because there ain't no he had it coming statute on there. So.
There is not.
No.
Okay,
he's asking again. Former St. Louis City Sheriff Alfred
Loaded Dice
Montgomery filed a motion in federal court asking the judge to dismiss all the charges against him. His claim is that prosecutors relied on false testimony and that his prosecution has been for political reasons. There's been no response from the court. One of the things that he alleged is that he was targeted for being a Democratic elected official in the city of St. Louis because we know the city doesn't like Democrats.
Excuse me, what? Come on, Alfred.
You got a lot of time on your hands in the pokey. I get it.
Wow.
But no, that's not going anywhere.
Wow.
Okay, so budget time. We talk about budget, the statewide level, but how about the national level? Senator Rand Paul out of Kentucky planning to bring what he's calling his six-penny plan to help balance the U.S. budget within the next 5 years. Good luck with that, Senator. Senator Paul was on Fox Business Network's Kudlow, and he says the U.S. having a little bit of a difficult time saving money.
every program that we have is running out of money. Medicare, Social Security, food stamps, welfare. We also have to reconsider some policies. Should we be providing welfare to people who come here as refugees or on special visas? I think not.
Okay, so the current national debt is around $39 trillion.
And climbing.
And climbing, because neither the Republicans nor the Democrats are serious about doing anything about it.
Nope.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Gen X knows this. Breakfast cereal was not just a meal to us back in the day. It was often for the toy buried in the bottom of the box.
Duh.
Yeah, everybody knew that. After more than a decade, Kellogg's is bringing that back, at least for a little while.
Woo!
Yes. Toy Story 5 toys. I guess we're on number 5 of the Toy Story series. Trading cards, other collectibles are now in several Kellogg's brand cereals, including Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, Frosted Mini Wheats, Cocoa Krispies, Corn Flakes, and a bunch of others as well there.
Guess I'll start eating cereal again.
Yeah, which I look back and I'm like, that was never about the nutrition. Those were chopped up candy bars and milk.
Balanced breakfast, Mike.
Yeah, no, and I don't eat cereal, and the last thing I'm going to do is try and consume something that's going to give me something else to have around the house. I mean, I'm trying to declutter. I've reached the stage in my life where I'm trying to declutter. I don't need more little toys.
Well, then you know what cereal to not eat.
None of them.
I'll take them.
UFL power rankings are out. Battlehawks now 3rd. DC Defenders are 1. Orlando Storm 2.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. He is putting Project Freedom on hold for now. President Trump says he wants to see whether an agreement with Tehran on ending the war can be achieved. Quoting the president, writing on Truth Social, great progress has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran. Pakistan has been mediating between the two sides, and it hosted peace talks between Tehran and Washington. Meanwhile, China's foreign minister says that Beijing is deeply distressed over the war. Ohio's primary election has set up two marquee matchups in November. One contest, the U.S. Senate race, will help determine control of the chamber. Former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown will try to unseat incumbent John Husted. The other contest, the governor's race, featuring former presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy.
We have a historic opportunity to lead Ohio to be the top state in the country, to raise a young family, to give our kids a world-class education, and to be the state where we revive this quaint idea that we call the American dream.
The Republican nominee and biotech billionaire will face Democrat Amy Acton.
I am running for governor because people in this state are struggling. They are doing everything right, They're working harder than they ever have, but there is no more breathing room.
Trump-endorsed candidates cleaned up in the Indiana State Senate primaries. Of the 7 challengers endorsed by President Trump, at least 5 of them won. One incumbent senator did prevail. The 7th race was too close to call. U.S. Senator Jim Banks on social media calling it a big night for MAGA in Indiana. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures have been sharply higher. The Dow futures up close to 500 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 400. Townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs back towards the 60-degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. We'll continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester, McKnight, and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs, a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education, because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding, because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects, the name you can trust.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Where was the festivity, Jerome?
I don't have any like coffee. I had to do the Charlie Brown dance.
The coffee machine revolted against Jerome.
No fair.
I know. But the coffee's brewing right now. I made sure of that. All right, just saying.
Thank you.
Okay, this is not a surprise, obviously, but it is a significant step in the prosecution of the latest man who tried to kill the president of the United States. Now we've got federal indictments involved on this. And so it's a little bit complicated with the step-by-step, but it's important that prosecutors do this right. I mean, it is in every case, but especially in something this big.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And you can see the story on this at RedState.com.
You can.
And it was written by Ward Clark, who joins us right now. And so, Ward, I mean, obviously, we expected, charges to be filed. We expected, indictments. They've gone the grand jury route, it looks like, in this case, and this is a federal. There could be more charges on this, but this is just part of the process, because a lot of people are like, lock him up and throw away the key, but it's crucial that we do it the right way.
Right. Yeah, Mike, it is. And granted, as I'm constantly reminding people, I'm a biologist and not an attorney, but I do read a lot about this stuff. It is the process. And Cole Allen is, like anybody, he's entitled to his constitutional rights, which include, trial by jury to face his accuser and all that. These 4 charges, there's nothing surprising about any of them. The primary one is, of course, an attempt to assassinate the president of the United States. The funny thing is, I was looking into this story yesterday, and the statute calls out the sentence, and they leave a hole open you could drive a truck through. Shall be punished by imprisonment for any term of years or life. So you could make 2 years for trying to kill a president. I doubt that'll happen here. I have a funny feeling he's going to get a stricter sentence than that. But I can't read the future. But it sure seems like they left that one wide open. And then there's counts for, carrying and using a deadly weapon, for carrying a weapon across state lines in order to commit a crime. And like I said, nothing really surprising. And these, again, are, like you said, are just the federal charges.
Yeah, and also, obviously, there's the charge for the assault on the officer who he did shoot. Thankfully, that officer was not seriously injured. So, yeah, there's a whole smorgasbord of charges there, Ward. And of course, what people don't realize necessarily is he was already charged earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. That was before a magistrate judge. Now this has been formal charges by the grand jury, so it added another count. And now this is before a district court judge, not a magistrate judge. But you also wrote on the fact that the magistrate judge it was in front of initially kind of rankled people because of his, I guess, deferential attitude towards the defendant.
Yeah, I was one of those people that was rankled by that. And there's nothing. I don't know that the magistrate judge broke any laws and procedures, but the optics of it are very bad. Mm-hmm. To my thinking, the proper way to have handled that one is his defense brought up his conditions. Well, he was on suicide watch. Those are the conditions when you're on suicide watch. The judge should have simply said, "Have someone look into it." Have someone look into it. We'll dot that I and cross that T. And but you don't apologize to a guy who's accused of attempting to assassinate not only the president of the United States. He said he intended to kill as many administration members as he could, which could have included Carolyn Leavitt, who is 9 months pregnant, sitting right next to the president.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the other thing too about that is. The conditions at the DC jail may well be not great. I mean, that's something that could be worth looking into. But in this situation, this was a guy who basically said he didn't plan to come out of this alive. Mm-hmm. I mean, he made it very clear, and he made statements to law enforcement in addition to his family, basically saying he thought he was going to die. So why wouldn't you have him on suicide watch?
No, you absolutely would. To my thinking, we want this guy to stand trial. We want this guy to go through the full process, a trial by jury if he chooses. I guess you can't actually refuse that and request a judgment. But, we want him to go on trial. We don't want him to be Epstein. So, they want to keep an eye on him. And sure, conditions in the jail might not be great, but it's a jail. It's not It's not the Grand Hilton.
Yeah, and we talk about...
I have very little sympathy for that.
Yeah, and we're talking about in this case, you mentioned the magistrate judge and Ward and Susie jump in here. You've got that, and then obviously now the federal aspect of it. Why is it important that there are different sort of, courts and jurisdictions looking at charging for the same set of crimes on this? Because I know that matters in a case like this. But that's where it gets really confusing.
Yeah, that might not.
I'll let Susie.
I was going to say that might be unfair to put Ward on the
parts of
spot
it.
there.
Yeah.
Really, these are both federal. This is the magistrate judge is federal. It's just that's the preliminary part. That comes early on because it doesn't require the grand jury, and it can be filed by a prosecutor or someone of that in that role. And it's what's called a complaint. It's not an indictment. So this is sort of like step 2 of a similar overlaid process. There could still be D.C. like local charges against him too. But the federal ones are the ones that are really going to be the ones with teeth to them.
Yeah, we're probably looking at more charges being filed as time goes along. I think they're going to look at everything they can throw at this guy, which they should. And by the way, that's not just the guy on the conservative station talking about a Republican president. The institution and the office and the constitutionality of it, they absolutely, regardless of who the president is, should throw everything they possibly credibly can at somebody, whoever attempts this, because it's not about the man in the office or the woman in the office at the moment. It's about the office itself and its place in our entire governance. Okay, we're visiting with Ward Clark. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it absolutely is about the office. If this had happened during Obama's presidency, it would be we would insist on going through the exact same process.
Yeah, 100%.
The office, it's not the person.
Okay, so Ward, there's another article that you wrote yesterday that really caught my eye, and it has to do with crypto and some like $720 million in crypto that was seized by the federal government from Chinese-linked networks. Now, I'm going to plead my ignorance on like crypto itself. I mean, I understand the basic concept, but nobody's convinced me to buy into it. But we're talking about massive amounts of crypto and a Chinese fraud ring. What is it? Are the basics? Because I really think people should check out that article.
Well, the most recent is about a 25 million seizure, which that was the Chinese linked and Chinese linked crypto. I don't know if the entire 725 million, but the recent seizure, Mike, was the 25 million from the Chinese, as I said. The entire number of 725 million is the overall take of the Scam Center Strike Force, which was stood up in 2025. Early in 2025, and you might remember what else happened in 2025, who took over the executive branch of the federal government. Otherwise, this would not have happened, and this 725 million would still be out there somewhere. I don't know if all of that came from Chinese-linked sources, but this most recent one did. And they're cleaning house up there. They are getting this done, and we're not going to get the people who are conducting these things. They're in, or at least who are in charge of this thing. They're in China. China doesn't extradite people, but we can take their money. And in taking their money, I'm sure we're taking some money from the mouths of the Chinese Communist Party, because nothing happens in China without the Chinese Communist Party getting, their cut.
Absolutely.
So we're kind of sticking our thumb in Chairman Xi's eye too, which is always worth doing.
Yeah, it is. Ward, I mean, I think one of the things, and we write on it a lot at RedState, but I do think it kind of flies under the radar because people were so up in arms about Doge and Elon Musk and all this thing. But the attack on fraud, scams, hacking, crypto scams, waste, abuse, the money that was flying out of our government to NGOs right and left, and that wasn't being accounted for. I mean, this is a multi-prong approach that this administration is taking. They've got task force, the one that J.D. Vance is heading up. We've got the, like you talked about, the District of Columbia Scam Center Strike Force. There are multiple agencies and actors who are working very hard at trying to get to the bottom of a lot of this abuse and this corruption. Yeah. And we're just seeing it we see articles every day with people being busted for this kind of stuff.
There's endless examples we can write about. This is trillions of dollars in fraud that are out there. I used to move in the world of Medicaid billing. I had a piece of a hospital bed business for a while. We had a leasing branch. We leased specialty equipment to area hospitals, all up and down the eastern United States. And the amount of fraud in that, and this was in the early 2000s, 2006, 2007. The amount of fraud in that business. We had a sales guy submitted a bunch of fraudulent Medicare billing, almost to the tune of nearly $1 million. And guess who had to pay that back? The salesman disappeared.
Of course.
We had to pay that back, and even though my partner and I had nothing to do with it. But it was done in our company's name, so we had to pay it back. And there's all these little actors, and it's 100,000 here, it's 150,000 there, but it's adding up to trillions. And some of these people are taking it to an industrial scale. We've seen it out of California, out of Minnesota, the home hospice frauds, the daycare frauds. Who knows where the bottom to this thing is? And some of the people that are doing it are just absolutely unrepentant about it. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it was just an accepted way of doing business in some areas, and the fact that that's being exposed is putting the left in a very weird spot to where they have to defend their tribalism because that was just the benefit of supporting them, and that's been exposed.
Yeah.
All right, Ward Clark, RedState. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ward. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, and some of the people are people who come from low trust societies, which is where you get this kind of thing happening.
Oh, that's a great aspect. Great point on that one. All right, Ward, we've already tagged you on social media. The articles that we were looking at today has to do with Cole Allen being federally indicted, and then feds see $725 million in crypto. You can find those both at redstate.com. People want to connect with you directly. Is there a way to do it? What's the best way, Ward?
Go to X you can find me at The Great Lander and on Truth Social. So the same tag.
All right, Ward. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ward.
Thank you.
All right. At some point, is it time to stop fighting your bad government and punish them just by leaving? Tell us what you think at 7:20.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark it is no more.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Stop right now. I have had enough of this.
Susie Moore here to talk to you about the place that's been bringing you great fun and great food from the heart of West County for over 20 years. It's Harpo's Chesterfield. They're the perfect neighborhood bar. They're close. They're convenient. They've got a great sports bar atmosphere, and they've got great food. As you know, I love their burgers, but it isn't just their burgers. They've got daily food specials that are really, really a good deal. Today's Wednesday, so their specials: a 10-ounce strip steak served with your choice of 2 sides. Tomorrow, Thursday, you can get meatloaf with your choice of 2 sides for $13. That's a pretty good deal. And anytime you want to check out what their special events are, what they've got going on, you can check out their Facebook page or their Instagram page. They've got lots of stuff cooking there. They've got a friendly, energetic staff. They deliver fun, food, and drinks like nobody else. And don't forget, again, like I said, they've got their special events. And like, for instance, yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. They had stuff going on there. You can always check out what's going on Facebook or Instagram. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, you want to make Harpo's Chesterfield your go-to. Visit harposstl.com or, again, check out Harpo's Chesterfield on Facebook or Instagram.
Colombo and Company.
Just over a week left in the 2026 legislative session. What's the focus of state lawmakers in these final days? We'll find out Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd. Plus, we'll open Closest Cabinet.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddie's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitantackle.net.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right, I have this conversation with my conservative friends, or just my friends on the Illinois side who are just not leftist. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of friends on the Illinois side who are leftist, but a lot of them who are not, and they're just kind of stuck in the land of Pritzker.
La.
I ask him, I'm like, why don't you just move to the Show Me State? And there's a variety of reasons, that they give, but these discussions probably happen all over the country, not just around Illinois, into the Missouri side. Anytime you got like a left-wing, crazy blue state that's near a purple state or a red state, I'm sure those discussions happen. Of course, it's not even just next door. I mean, look at all the people who are leaving California and going to Texas. Look at all the people who are leaving New York and going to Florida. And so the migration happens. And I found a commentary from Nick Freitas, real popular. You see him out there, former... Where was he elected? The state legislature, or state assembly? Was that Georgia or someplace South Carolina?
Virginia?
Virginia, maybe. Yeah, maybe it was Virginia. But he was a state lawmaker, and now he's real popular. Does a lot of work, like he's done work with Michael Knowles, and you guys know him, Nick Freitas. And I thought he had an interesting, just kind of commentary, if you will, that he put on social media the other day. Mm-hmm. Here's what he had to say: 314-912-1019, or just give me your response or your reaction in our social media comments. Basically, he's saying, when do you know it's time to just leave? Change your life and leave because of government. Here's what he had to say.
So I had someone ask me today, how do you know when it's time to leave your state? Here's 4 things to consider. 1, is your state making it difficult for you to be able to provide for your family? 2, is your state making it difficult for you to be able to defend your family? This could mean infringing on your Second Amendment rights, but it could also mean letting violent offenders out of jail early or just not prosecuting them in the first place. 3, is your state making it difficult for you to raise and educate your children the way that you want? Because I guarantee you there's a lot of propaganda going in on government schools. So, depending on how you answered those 3 questions, you now go on to the 4th question. That is, do you really have any shot at changing the political dynamic of the state that you're in a reasonable amount of time? If the answer to that one is no, well, you're basically a tax farm for the people trying to destroy the things that you love. So if you don't want to subsidize the powers that be, then maybe it's time to prayerfully consider moving somewhere else. However, if you do choose to move, remember something. Your job is now to preserve the place you fled to, not turn it into the place you fled from.
Okay.
Preach.
I mean, he basically described Illinois.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting was that 4th question, is there any chance of you changing those dynamics in a reasonable amount of time? Because the pushback on that's going to be, but somebody's got to stay and fight. We have to fight to change it. I absolutely respect that. But is Freitas right in saying at some point you got to make a decision for you and your family, and if you can't fight it and you can't win, go somewhere else and punish them that way?
He's absolutely right about that. And I mean, I'm seeing it with my friends from California. I mean, they love their state. They don't want to see it just completely, fall off the face of the earth. It's devolved so much just in the past 15, 20 years. And so there is that impulse to stay and fight, but it's like, it's such an uphill battle. At some point, you just say, okay, I can't make it work. Illinois, of course, is very close to home here. Obviously, some of our listeners are from Illinois.
All 3 of us have connections to Illinois.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I understand. I mean, when it's your home, when that's where you've grown, where you have family, where you have history, you don't want to just abandon that. You don't want to just cede it to the progressive craziness. You don't want to see that happen. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there's value in staying and fighting if you feel like there's any chance of making a difference. But at some point, you might reach a decision that there's not.
That's ultimately part of what led my decision to leave Illinois. Not only the fact that I knew somebody out of state, that lived in Kentucky where I ended up for a little bit, but the idea that when you have somebody like J.B. Pritzker that gets elected, and despite all of the terrible ideas that they have, despite all of the failures that they're going to continue to have, the people are just they're incapable. And I'm talking mostly about people my age, the people that were, I grew up with that are a little bit older than me, but there was enough people to where they were completely ignorant of how politics works, of the effects that they were having. They liked the feeling that they got for feeling like a good person for supporting that. And once you can no longer have those conversations to get through to people, and you are then going to realize I'm going to be subjected to whatever nonsense because I'm so deeply outnumbered in this area that if it's the mayor, if it's the governor, whoever it is, I am outnumbered by these people. Then it became like, why am I going to continue to provide into the services? Why am I going to continue, like you mentioned, the tax pool?
Tax farm for the elite.
When I could then instead go somewhere else that has more people that have my values, that actually have common sense and brains in their head, and then I could do my best to then protect them and to maintain that standard of living.
Well, and that's the key, as he pointed out. Don't move to some place that you think has those things and then try to bring the the bad stuff from where you left. I mean, that makes no sense. And I do think it's interesting to think about interstate migration in the context of the immigration battles that are being waged right now. Because you got the left that is all in on basically open borders. But then when you point out to them that people are moving with they're voting with their feet and they're moving to greener pastures, which would be like Texas, Florida, the South, moving out of, the coastal areas in New York, California, then they kind of like take offense to that. Like, well.
Oh, I've experienced that here. I mean, when I was in Kentucky, I was welcomed with open arms, but I've actually had people tell me, well, you're not from here. You're ruining our state for coming here.
That's a St. Louis thing. That's not a Missouri thing. That's a St. Louis thing.
But that's sort of, I have had people tell me, I'm like, what do you mean? I get involved with dog rescues. I foster. I do volunteer work. I pay my taxes. I am involved with things. What do you mean? But they just, for some reason, it's that idea of the outsider. Now, there's a big difference between somebody from a Sharia law country coming here and wanting to do what they're doing in Minnesota.
Hey, Jerome, where'd you go to school?
Where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, where'd you go to high school?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say that I'm honestly surprised by that. I mean, obviously, people can say and do weird things and surprise you, but I don't know if I've ever felt like or been around that attitude of we don't want you here, like just because you're not from here originally. Yes, there is that sort of inside baseball where'd you go to high school, just because that helps people kind of like place you in St. Louis. But that's not even but we don't want you here if you didn't.
Oh, the person that I'm thinking of is pretty influential online, and they were like, no, you need to go back to Illinois because we don't want you here.
Well, that person can kiss my grits.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? I mean, because like, for instance, I've got a number of my friends, teammates, really conservative, very frustrated, because they're getting taxed out of house and home. A couple of them are retired, from, different like law enforcement type positions. So they're young enough to still go do whatever they want. And I said, guys, why don't you just literally move 10 miles, 15 miles over here, and you're going to pay far less in taxes and get a lot more for your house. My family's here, my kids are here, my grandkids are here, and I get it. We've lived here our whole life. I mean, I get it. It's hard and scary, but at some point they've said even at some point I may have to.
The story of the U.S. is people moving across it, moving within it. So I don't know. Come on over. The water's fine. Right?
As long as you are conservative.
That's right.
Now, Mike.
Yes.
Susie.
Yes.
Do you know what today is?
Bump Day.
Dies Colis, which is Latin for bump day.
Oh, okay.
I assumed you guys knew that, but
no.
All right.
Sorry.
So this week's theme is going to be songs from the 80s that sound like they were made in the 80s, but were either covers or originally a variation of an older song.
Oh, okay.
PMS came up with a theme, and I think it's working really well so far.
That's good.
I had no idea. Putting on the Ritz was actually a variation of a song that came out in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
The opposite meaning. So I want your best covers. Not covers of 80 songs, but 80s covers of other songs or songs that were variations of older songs. Send this to me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs back towards the 60-degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. We'll continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
When insurance companies know you're represented by Under Law, they know Under is not going to let you be pushed around. Their reputation is built on years of courtroom battles. If you suffer an injury or damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice you have Under Law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every term. Don't settle for less. You want to win? Believe me, Under wins. Under, O-N-D-R, underlaw.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
Often President Trump exaggerates. Of course, I was born spending my youth in Texas where everybody exaggerates. Some would say lying, or at least twisting the facts the truth. Are you guilty? Former Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger he made this statement. I guarantee you, stop it right there. When you make a guarantee, is that a fact or an exaggeration? Okay, back to his remarks. I guarantee you something, and I know this. In 5 to 10 years, there won't be a single person. Not a single person? That sounds outlandish. Back to his statement once again. I guarantee you something, and I know this. In 5 to 10 years, there won't be a single person left in this country that will ever admit to supporting Donald Trump, except for those who have their stuff all over Twitter. So no one, not one person, unless you're constantly on Twitter, X, or whatever, will ever admit again in 5 to 10 years they voted or supported Trump? Now, you keep in mind, Kinzinger served as a Republican from Illinois, but also worked with Pelosi, Schiff, and others to impeach Trump on colluding with Russia. Now, that was an exaggeration. Correction, that was a lie.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has the solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Remember when food tasted like home? When breakfast was made from scratch and dessert was worth saving room for? At Shorty's Diner, we're serving up down-home breakfasts, lunches, and desserts just like Mom used to make. Fresh, from scratch, every single day. Step back in time with us, where the booths are cozy, Elvis is always in the building, and every plate feels like a hug.
Calling all Vic heads. Ken and I will be doing our show live from Shorty's Diner this Friday. Stop by for a delicious breakfast or lunch and say hi at Shorty's Diner on Lackland in Westport.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
St. Louis has essentially shrunk a little bit in relative importance. It is hard to get that back. The demographics are also quite difficult and create the effect where it's hard to attract business when you have a shrinking labor force, basically. Weak demographic growth and a weak ability to bring people in from kind of the outside. So it's a very complicated situation, and I don't think there's any silver bullet for St. Louis.
Okay, so it's no secret many people and families are just simply choosing other metro areas over St. Louis, over the city, over the metro, but the city in particular. I'd ask why, but a lot of the answers are pretty clear. That voice you just heard was Aaron Wren, and that was from a recent podcast that was just released by our friends at the Show Me Institute. And we're now joined by David Stokes from the Show Me Institute. And the whole conversation, which I'm fascinated that you all did this, because it got nuanced, it got a little wonky, dare I say, a little nerdy at times, but it was looking at, okay, what's actually happening here. And one of the phrases that, and I'm going to paraphrase, but kind of one of the phrases that I came across with your all's discussion was, people with opportunities are simply often choosing other places than St. Louis. And the most basic foundational question then is why? Give us a preview, because we're gonna recommend people check out the podcast.
Mike, great to be on the air with you. And first of all, I take nerdy and wonky as a compliment. So, so thank you very much. But I hope people check it out, because it's not, the whole thing is not too in the weeds. We do talk about the problems and potential solutions, and the fact that there really might not be solutions to some of these things for regional growth and regional governance in St. Louis. And you hit on two things in the lead in there. First of all, you said it's not that complicated for much of it, particularly for the city of St. Louis. Like, why are people not going there now? And it's not that hard. As Susan Pendergrass, my colleague, said in the issue, there's just a public safety issue that says that for people, let's say from rural Missouri, young people from rural Missouri who want to move to St. Louis, and as Aaron Wren noted, we probably don't have enough of that. But also when they do, they don't go to the city of St. Louis, or many of them don't go because of the perception of crime. And the perception is also accurate. I don't mean to say that as like it's false. The public safety and disorder problem keeps people, not enough people want to move to the region to start. And the people who do, many of them do pick the suburbs or the outer area, pick St. Charles County, obviously, which has been growing like leaps and bounds for 3 to 4 decades now. So then it gets into, what are the opportunities for St. Louis? What are the ways to turn this around? What should St. Louis focus on? And I was particularly intrigued by Aaron's discussion of how St. Louis really, as it's gotten so small, but one thing it has now is a very highly educated population compared to other cities around the country. And the whole, I think, as eds and meds, as they call it, education centers and medical centers, really where St. Louis can really stand out. And if you're in the Central West End, as our offices usually are, other than the tornado, you see all the young people at Barnes, young doctors, residents, nurses, and the like. And there really is a lot of opportunity there for the region and for the city.
Good morning, David. I feel like one of the biggest obstacles to addressing the issues that need to be addressed is lack of leadership buy-in. I mean, you have people that clearly are interested in leadership in the city of St. Louis, in the St. Louis area. But then there doesn't seem to be, and I would say that even of those people, most of them probably genuinely would like to see the area do well, succeed. But there seems to not be any buy-in in terms of look around the country, see what's working in other metropolitan areas, see how cities are improving their education systems, their law enforcement systems, their taxing policies, and emulate that. I mean, if it's working elsewhere, it could theoretically work here. But why do you think there is that disconnect and that failure to buy into that idea of success?
Well, let's talk about, I absolutely get what you're saying, and I agree with it. And one of the things Aaron goes into some detail on about this is comparing, now County Executive Page is once again talking about city-county merger issues. And as Aaron talks about, you can learn a lot, better and for good and bad, from how other cities and counties have done these things. And there's sort of this assumption that city-county mergers, Freudian slip there, city-county mergers have worked everywhere, and they really haven't. They've worked some places. He quotes Lexington, Kentucky as one where it worked very well. But there's this idea that in Indianapolis and Louisville and Nashville, it's always worked. And he just pushes back on that, and he cites particularly in Louisville and to a lesser extent Indianapolis that it really hasn't. And there's been some benefits to it, and there's been some problems with these mergers. And some of these go back a way. And that is, let me get to directly answer your question about buy-in. It's because so often when you have to make these tough decisions, like we're going to merge this city and this county or all these suburbs or whatever it is, and he really says this was a great problem in Louisville, the elected officials, when it happens, they don't have the political either will or ability to actually save money by laying people off. The actual savings that can come from combining governments oftentimes means shrinking the public sector workforce. And this would absolutely happen in St. Louis. The idea that if the city and county got together, that you would address the replication of government services by laying off 10% of city and county employees, it would just never happen, not in a million years. So then you share these services, you merge the governments, but the cost savings aren't there anywhere near what's promised. And that is about leadership buy-in to make the hard decisions to save taxpayer money. And it really doesn't happen elsewhere. And trust me, it would not happen in St. Louis.
Yeah, I believe you. We're visiting with David Stokes from the Show Me Institute, and we'll tell you how to find that podcast discussion here in just a moment. But one of the other questions is, a lot of times we go straight to government. Okay, so who's going to be elected? What's the policy they need to do? How are we going to? But how much of this is, yes, bad government, but a lot of times bad government comes from a broken culture. And I can tell you that your audience agrees with me right there.
Right. And that's one of the things about the podcast is that it wasn't just about government structure and the discussion. And it goes far, far deeper than that. And as Aaron discussed, St. Louis shares a lot in common with some other river cities, Louisville, Pittsburgh. There's a lot more in common with Pittsburgh than I think we realize here. And one of the problems with attracting new people to those sort of old style parochial river cities is it's hard. It's mostly about the social structure. It's hard to break in to the social structure of a city when you're not from there. And that's absolutely true in the St. Louis area. Absolutely true. I have an acquaintance who started a business 20 years ago, and the whole business is helping companies take their new employees new to St. Louis and break them into St. Louis and to help them get to know other people and develop the social connections that life means. It's one thing if you come in your late 20s and you're married and about to have kids, those kids will help you make new friends. But if you're single and not married, or if you're come in a little bit older in life and your kids are already grown, it's really tough to fit in here in St. Louis. And this acquaintance of mine who runs this business, he has incredible stories of people who you would think would be perfect for the St. Louis region, but they leave after a few years because it's just so hard to break in to the social culture here. And we're all a little bit parochial. As a lifelong St. Louisan, I have no doubt I'm guilty of that. And it's reflected by the where'd you go to high school question. That's such a famous St. Louis thing. But it sounds silly, but it's so deep. You ask that question because it can tell you so much about somebody so fast. But if you're not from here, like my wife isn't born and raised here, she doesn't have an answer to that. Mm-hmm. Nobody's heard of the Webb School of Knoxville. So then it becomes a problem. And if you come here for school, like my wife did, well, you'll make friends in school and it sort of solves itself. But if you just come here for work and you don't have the kids, it's really difficult to break in. And that's a cultural thing that St. Louis as a region, as a culture, absolutely needs to address. And it is an important part of why many people choose to not come here when they have that choice.
No, we're laughing.
Do you feel validated, Jerome?
We were just having this discussion right before we started talking to you, David, so that's why we're laughing.
Well, no, but it's so true.
It's true, and I'm from
really
St. Louis, so I'm probably blind to it. It's very
Me too.
true.
I'm totally blind. I'll talk about high schools all day long. Happy to, but we don't even realize, I think, how it makes it harder for people outside of here to come here and enjoy it. And those people oftentimes leave, and that's what my acquaintance Anthony, who has this whole business based on that, the stories he has are incredible. About, I mean, how are you going to get new entrepreneurs to come here and start a business if it's so difficult for them to even make friends to start with? Like, they're not going to stay.
Fair point.
Okay, so people need to check out this podcast, basically. So where do we find it, David? Let's go ahead and put that out there.
Well, it's up at showmeinstitute.org. You can find it on the Show Me Institute Twitter page at Show Me. Aaron Wren has been publicizing it. It's really a good discussion of the ideas of city, county, suburban mergers, the pros, the cons, and there are plenty of cons. I'm certainly not just knee-jerk in favor of that at all. And we talk about where it has worked and why, and where it has failed and why. And I happen to think that while I strongly want the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County and the suburbs to share more services, and that I'm not in support of this whole sort of top-down planning. I like these sort of bottom-up changes, like when Veneta Park and Veneta Terrace merged a decade ago, two suburbs that just chose to merge. Bottom-up efficiencies, that's the better way to go about it.
It's true.
All right, David, good to talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Always great talking to all of you, and I hope people check it out, showmeinstitute.org. It's about 40 minutes, and I think people will really enjoy the discussion. And thanks for giving me a chance to talk about it.
You got it.
Thanks, David. We also want to give you guys a chance to hear and talk about the upcoming St. Charles County executive race. That's right, on Tuesday, June 2nd, NewsTalkSTL, the Hammond Center for Free Enterprise, and the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee will be hosting a live debate at Lindenwood University at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. St. Charles County executive candidates Jason Law, Bill Eigel, and incumbent Steve Ellman will be taking questions from a panel well-versed in St. Charles County issues. Right? All live on NewsTalkSTL. Doors open at 6. Program starts at 6:30. Debate begins live on NewsTalkSTL at 7 p.m. Sponsored by Mid-Rivers News Magazine and the Lewis and Clark Pachyderms Club. For all the information, go to NewsTalkSTL.com.
Look, St. Louis County politics has been a clown show for years now, and it's an embarrassment to the region, and it's an embarrassment to any citizen who prides themselves on looking for good government.
You know, we like to have treats here at the radio station, like I think a lot of businesses do, and I remember the days when we would just have bad donuts, just big chain store donuts. Let me tell you something, and then we started bringing in Mario's Donuts. Mike Ferguson here for Mario's Donut Restaurant, mariosdonutrestaurant.com. That's where you want to go. But they're on Mugi Road. Go and check them out. Grab a cup of coffee. Grab a breakfast sandwich. Grab, of course, a donut. It's okay to have a treat every once in a while. And there is a big difference. Yeah, you can go to the grocery store and you can get the dried donut that's got all the dried out sugar on top that was probably made back in the Nixon administration. They're just now getting around to shipping it to your local neighborhood. Or you can go get fresh treats and also a variety of foods, breakfast sandwiches, omelets, you name it. Breakfast, lunch, even dinner. Mario's Donut Restaurant is far more than just a donut store, but don't neglect the donuts. I'm telling you, there is a massive difference. It's a big difference. Mario's Donut Restaurant, also fun to hang out there. Just put in Mario's Donuts on your GPS or your maps there. It'll take you right to it. But mariosdonutrestaurant.com, they can also cater, and they can also take care of that office meeting. They can take care of whatever you need. mariosdonutrestaurant.com. Yes, there is a difference.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis and Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer bill of rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer bill of rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer bill of rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, the war against Iran seems to be changing by the hour.
It does.
Yeah, we go every few minutes. There's something is altered or suspended or started, all sorts of stuff going on. Also, prosecutors decide to not charge the man involved in a stabbing death at Busch Stadium. Interesting. This surprised a lot of people. Battlehawks are in a position to go to postseason football again, but they really need a good run in May. The good news is it looks like they've got a pretty clear path to the playoffs.
Well, that's good.
Yep. All right, 7:53 right now. Let's go ahead and do a quick news dump.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, let's start with what's happening in Iran. The president pausing what was called Operation Project Freedom, I should say. He calls that off after just a day. That was an operation to guide stranded cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz among the Iranian blockade. So the Navy is now warning ships to take a different route in the strait, because the Pentagon says Iranian ships are now laying mines again in the waters. Yeah, so that's what's changed. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, was on Fox's Hannity last night, and he says Tehran is lashing out in response to the U.S. blockade.
You can't respond by throwing sea mines into international waterways and by trying to raise revenue by tolling international civilian shipping.
And some U.S. ships came under attack, but it looks like none were hit.
Yeah.
And so that means that the attack was just really bad.
Right. They're limited in what they can do. The Iranians at this point are limited in what they can do from a attack standpoint, military standpoint. Yeah.
All right. AAA says the average price for gasoline of gas nationally now $4.54.
It's too high.
Yeah. And that's as of early this morning. I checked. In Missouri, the average cost is now $4.12 around the metro area on the Missouri side. Average prices ranging from $4.19 to $4.37, although Susie and I both saw it at $4.39 this morning as well. On the Illinois side, get this, the average price of gas, $4.99 statewide.
Not sustainable.
Oh, man. Prices in the metro area is $4.84 and $4.94 on the Illinois side once again. Okay, this is interesting. No charges in connection with the stabbing death at Busch Stadium early Monday morning. That's the word from the circuit attorney's office, which declined to file any charges against the 65-year-old man involved in that altercation. Police say the dispute involved a cleaning crew that works for a vendor at the stadium, so they did not actually work for the Cardinals. They were just contracted out. 27-year-old Aaron Jones died as a result of that fight. But it looks like the investigation is over in that case.
Yeah, and the only thing I can take away from that is that they had pretty good video footage of what happened there. That's to me the only way that they could be this confident this quickly that this isn't going to be something to pursue criminally.
Right, and reading between the lines after being a crime reporter early in my, it sounds like what they've determined is that this was a self-defense situation. Just the fact that it happened at the stadium puts it in the public eye. Yeah, really sad situation. All right. Gen X knows breakfast cereal wasn't just for the meal. It was for the toy in the bottom of the box, of course. All right, so after more than a decade, Kellogg's is bringing that back, at least for a little while. Toy Story 5. They have toys now in the cereal boxes, trading cards, and collectibles now in the Kellogg's brand cereals, including all kinds of stuff you should probably not be putting in your body in the first place. Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, Frosted Mini Wheats, and Cocoa Krispies. I look back now as a kid, and I'm like, that really wasn't about the nutrition. That was just like chopped up candy in a bowl of milk soup.
And if you're a parent right now with younger kids and you're trying to get them to eat healthy, you're trying to be on board with the Maha movement, and then this is what they're doing. They're working against you. I might be a little peeved.
Okay, well, maybe the oatmeal companies need to start putting toys, or broccoli companies.
Resident broccoli needs to come with toys, and then we might be making progress, right?
That'll sell it to 4-year-olds. Oh, my goodness. All right, Cardinals game was rained out on Tuesday night. It's going to be made up later in the season when the Brewers are back in town, but today's game between those two teams is on as scheduled. First pitch is at 12:15. Andre Palante, who was supposed to start pitching yesterday, is going to get the start today for the Redbirds. That is, like I said, a 12:15 first pitch. The new UFL power rankings are out. Battlehawks now listed third in the league. DC Defenders, top of that list. They're 5-1 on the season. Okay. Orlando Storm is listed second. They're 4-2. Battlehawks are 4-2. They're just ranking the Storm just a little bit higher than the Battlehawks, even though we already beat them. Both the Storm and the Battlehawks, both in the position to be in the playoffs in about a month.
Good call.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
This year, America turns 250, and Newstalk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. Newstalk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Anthony's Produce, Cole O. Combs, and Heroes Care. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 Newstalk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is Newstalk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump threatens Iran with more bombings if it does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The threat follows reports of an emerging agreement to end the war. Posting on Truth Social, the president says the conflict could soon end and oil and natural gas shipments resume, but that all depends on Iran accepting an agreement that Mr. Trump has not publicly outlined. Quoting the president, if they don't agree, the bombing starts, and it will be, sadly, at a much higher level and intensity than it was before. Republicans rapidly pursuing redistricting efforts across the South following the U.S. Supreme Court ruling affecting majority black congressional districts. South Carolina and Alabama, Tennessee and Louisiana are all considering changes. The saga of that stranded cruise ship, it's been at the center of a hantavirus outbreak, continues.
Patients suspected of having the hantavirus infection are evacuated from the cruise ship MV Hondius onto ambulances at Praia, Cape Verde, to be taken to the Netherlands. The Hondius, stuck off the coast of Cape Verde with nearly 150 people on board, is waiting to head to Spain's Canary Islands after a request from health authorities, despite local opposition. Meanwhile, health authorities in South Africa and Switzerland have identified a strain of the virus that can be transmitted between humans in rare cases. The World Health Organization, however, says the public health risk remains low. I'm Charles Dillevesma.
While many Americans have been out mowing the lawn or tending their garden, people in Colorado and Wyoming have had to break out their snow shovels. A late snowstorm swept over the Rockies into the high plains the other day, bringing heavy, wet snow north of Denver into southeastern Wyoming. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 422 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs back towards the 60-degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. We'll continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Huh? Susie Moore.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, got a news flash for you because we're in the news business, Jerome. I've got a news flash.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Okay, so here's a news flash, St. Louis. Ladies, your body needs some things to stay healthy that are different from what us dudes need.
And you're going to tell me what I need for my body as a
Well, we're going to
young
help
lady,
with that
right?
too. That's right. But yeah, so it's very different. Joined now by Barb Mustone from our friends at Nutrition Stop.
Hello. Nice to be
Ryan's been
here.
in a few times. Now we've got Ryan's better half in here as well. And you got a big focus on women's health.
We do, yes. So we wanted to celebrate, Mother's Day, obviously,
Yeah.
and all the women, and no matter what phase that you're in, and just have a little focus on our bodies because they are different from men. And most medicine and even supplements are only geared towards men. So it's really lovely to have a focus.
And so and of course, obviously, anytime you're talking about, the differences between men and women and physically, there are areas that people just it's uncomfortable. I don't want, but you need to talk about this stuff. I mean, especially for women, because you kind of give me a heads up what you all are looking at right now.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where a lot of women are going to go, yeah, we talk. This is our body, and what is it that, for instance, you're offering to women as far as here's more information, here's education, here's something you can just learn about in order to make your life a little more robust and thriving.
Exactly. Wonderful. And I love that you said that, started off with it making it weird and icky and it's not fun to talk about. But nobody on this planet doesn't have to interact with a woman, right? So it makes it better for us, but also makes it better for you if we all can have an understanding about this, right? So what we do for women and for men, for everyone in our platform at Nutrition Stop is education forward. Like we want you to make the best informed decisions and so that you can know about your body because we're not taught about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And in our everyday life, you have to go out and look for it. So what I love about the women is the difference is we cycle every 28 days.
Mm-hmm.
Men cycle every 24 hours. See, we're only crazy once a month. You have to do it every day.
Fair.
Just kidding.
Fair, yeah.
But this is super important because it kind of goes along with the biodynamic style of living. Like if we do that with farming, then we're not working against nature. We're working with it. We're getting the most out of it. So if we are not trying to homogenize and make it all the same and be productive robots all 28 days and really lean into where our body is and what we need and what we don't need, then we get more out of it. So again, for men and women, everybody benefits from this.
Yeah. So what are the ways that a woman would do that? Because obviously women, your own bodies and men, we're trying to learn how to
survive us.
I didn't say it. I was going to say compliment wherever you are.
Good. Yeah.
But I mean, for women to say, especially as you get to a certain age and you got perimenopause and menopause and all of these sorts of things, a woman in her 20s is going to have a very different experience than a woman in her 40s versus that.
Yes.
So us guys, let's be honest, this is complicated. Times go over our head. We just want to know how to be with you all. But for women, what are the ways to like you said, lean into that and learn how to take as much advantage of those changes as possible?
Absolutely. So cycle syncing is a really popular thing that women can do, and it's really basic, and we use seeds. So we have 4 different cycles through our month, but the first 2 are like the building and the growing of the estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half is going to be progesterone, and we want our estrogen to drop. And so it's a lot of women go through those PMS symptoms and have all of the discomfort and pain and sadness because our estrogen doesn't drop. So taking easily just a tablespoon of flax seeds and pumpkin seeds daily in those first 2 weeks of the month helps that estrogen to rise. Super easy. I mean, you can just eat them right out of your hand. You can make desserts out of them. You can make trail mixes, anything.
Mm-hmm. Does that have a similar effect on men, or is that unique to women's bodies?
Unique to our bodies, because men absolutely should eat also these seeds,
right?
And it's good for fiber and omegas.
It's not going to
mess our your estrogen. Yes, that's a great question. Yeah. So, and then the second half of the month, sunflower seeds and sesame seeds. Again, super easy. I mean, you can eat tahini, you can have sun butters, you can, all kinds of delicious ways that we can get this in, but it's going to help that estrogen go down and the progesterone come up. So we can drink teas, we can take lots of supplements. There's specific foods for each cycle as well that help alleviate and give us more energy. But even just that simple little thing of just adding in a tablespoon of seeds.
So in my life, I know a couple people that are my age that are finally starting their own families, but I also know for my own mother as well, one of the things I like to do is I like to get people like vitamin kits or things that they can use instead of just like some little trinket.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For both birthdays and Mother Days. Now, as the body develops over time, I guess what I'm asking, is there a core set of things that all women should have when they become mothers, or does it need to be fine-tailed for where they are at their age?
That is a wonderful question. So omega-3s are going to be like hands down. And I say from the womb to the tomb. If you're alive, omega-3s are going to be your best friend. But specifically, hormone balancing is really great. So when you're pregnant, your body is creating another human being. DHA is that brain component that develops their brains. For the first 5 years, children need tons of DHA. But also, if you've ever met a woman who forgot how to pump gas or middle of the sentence what they were saying or whatever, it's because the baby took all of that DHA. So huge, huge, huge DHA for pregnant women, young women, but also going through all of the cycles. We have like evening primrose oil or borage oil that are going to help balance that progesterone, estrogen as our bodies shift and change.
How complicated does this have to be? I mean, for instance, if you've got women to say, okay, you just referenced like 4, 5, 6 different things.
Yeah.
Boy, am I going to need a spreadsheet on my phone to stay healthy? And I don't think it's like that. But, if they come in and say, okay, make sense of this for me, Barbara, they stop at a nutrition stop, that can be intimidating when obviously we're in a world that just has mass processed food. Just take it out of the box, stick it in the microwave, and your stomach's full.
For sure.
So it does take more work to be healthy, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
No, absolutely. And we have, a section at the store where it's all the women's focused products, and it will go through that, where you're at in your lifetime and what you need. And there's topicals and there's ingestibles. And then there's also just our food. Our everyday food is our medicine. So, yeah, absolutely. There's so many apps out here for women now, which is wonderful. Australia, for some reason, has tons of research on women's health. So I dip into that a lot. There's a lot more books. So it's one of those niche topics where if you really want to know information, there's tons of it out there, but it's not like right in your face, Yeah. But yes, if you come into Nutrition Stop, we're obviously going to get you on a really good multivitamin and your omega-3s and curcumin to help balance all of those things as well. But as wherever you're at in your cycle, we're going to give you whatever you need and make sure that you got your support.
Okay, so then coming up this month, because one of the things I think it's been a while since I've mentioned this, but you actually have more room in your store. You could put more shelves and sell more stuff.
We do.
But you've got a whole area that it's not empty, but you use it just for a lot of times these education things. I know you do yoga.
Yep.
There. I've been to music concerts there.
Yep.
There's a little bit of everything there,
Yep.
but this is space that you could be just selling stuff, and yet you use it for these community things.
Absolutely.
So anything like related to this coming up at the store?
Yes. Well, thank you for asking. We are having a nurse coach who is medically trained, but also holistically trained. So she's combining the two worlds, and she's going to have 2 different free discussions, one specifically on women's cycles and how to live dynamically. And then we're also having that peri and menopause discussion, because I don't know, like you guys have mothers and women that have gone through this, and I've read books, and we were just described as hysterical, and like you just had to be removed from society and you're no longer useful anymore. And so there's this huge movement of women going through these, and perimenopause wasn't even like a phrase that my parents even used. So like understanding that this is a transition, a huge, epic, like amazing transition into cronehood, and that we should be celebrating it and not making it weird, and being able to understand our bodies enough to make it be a smooth and not painful thing.
Okay, so nutritionstop.com or Nutrition Stop on Facebook is where you can find that. But what are right offhand, what are like some of the dates of some making?
So May 14th is a Thursday night, and then May 19th is the following Tuesday, and then May 23rd is a Saturday morning where we'll have a pelvic floor therapist coming and teaching us all about pelvic floor health, which I think is a huge conversation for men and women, and more than just like maybe leaking when you sneeze or cough, but so much of our body is connected to this, and so we can find health connected to this dysfunction.
So when you say pelvic floor, we're talking about basically the core center of your body, as opposed to you're not just like rolling around on the floor.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's the whole muscle system in the body that is connected to all of our body parts, our organs. Yeah.
Now, we've got a lot of listeners that are outside of the immediate area that might not be able to make that commute, but are there any, again, core exercises, stretches, anything of that nature that you could recommend specifically for women that want to get back into being a more mobile lifestyle?
So virtually that's a little harder to do. We, like he said, we offer yoga twice a week, and we have one for on the floor, and then we also have a chair yoga class for people who need a little bit more support, which is fantastic. As far as the pelvic floor health, this lady is fantastic. She runs her own business, and she has a website as well that you can reference from our website as well. But it's really going to be more of that discussion and seeing the anatomy and figuring out like where your body needs it. So yeah, public floor health is a little bit more personalized.
So so this is more catered specifically to individuals. It's not just like an end-all, catch-all sort of thing. This will be more uniquely focused on the different parts and what you specifically need to do. Then is that?
So she's going to give a basic explanation, so we all understand. Because again, pelvic floor health is not a topic that we've ever talked about until the last decade or so either. So get understanding where that is and how we use it and what it's for, and then. Yes, there'll be specialized questions on where to go and how to support you.
Yeah, and one of the other things that, and I've mentioned this when because I talk about nutrition stuff every week here on the air multiple times, and that is you can go to any store and somebody will have some stuff to sell you. Now, you obviously have a very different, very higher standard as far as what you put on your shelves and that sort of thing. But like, for instance, somebody's always gone at some conference or education thing.
Yes.
And that's actually a massive difference. That's kind of behind the scenes, but I'm gonna put the spotlight on it real quick. Because for instance, I came in, was it last week? I don't remember what it was. And normally Laura's there, and I always chat with Laura, and Jake's there, or Zach. I'm sorry, Zach. Zach's there, and I chat with Zach. I'm like, oh, where's Zach? Where's Laura? And they're up at a conference learning from all these doctors.
Yeah.
And that's very different than what you're going to get at other places where you can get the mass brand stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, and online shopping or all those big other stores are fantastic. You got convenience and prices and whatever. But if you need an extra hand-holding, if you need extra explanation, if you have, you can go on the internet and you get conflicting information, right? So we come and we vet that information for you and we get it directly from the sources. So, and that's why we wake up every day, is to make sure that we can help people in the best way possible. And we're not doctors, so we're not prescribing. We're saying, here, you decide what works best for your body, your lifestyle, but we're going to give you all the tools possible.
Yeah. Are you saying there's some people who are wrong on the internet? It's possible. But I mean, there are things that, and I know we just got to wrap up here in a second, but like, for instance, I never thought of like the topical aspect of things.
Yeah.
I never thought before I started working with you and Ryan and Laura and I never thought of, well, the stuff that you wash your hair with, the stuff you use for deodorant, that seeps into your system.
100%.
That gets into different. I never thought of that, and I think we've been working together a year and a half now, something like that.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I'm 54, and I feel like I'm 39.
And you look great.
I try. I do my best. I have gotten a lot of responses and compliments, which I really appreciate. Yeah. But the nutrition aspect of it has been crucial, and I'm not kidding. When I walk in, I come in going, I thought I knew what I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I found out that I really didn't know, so I asked, and now I know.
Yeah. It's great that there's an emphasis and people are asking questions and, just going to the regular store and shelf and picking up things and not reading the ingredients is now a part of people's lives.
Yeah.
They're looking and paying attention. So
I have completely
be part of that.
I have completely changed the protein and the branched chain amino acid and the creatine. I've completely changed the brands. And it was you and I just sat there. I took a picture of when we first started working. I'm like, well, this is a really well-known brand and is very popular, and I'm getting good results, from aesthetically from it. Yeah. And you're like, well, look at this. What's, what that is? I'm like, no, I can't pronounce it. Okay.
Right.
Well, I've switched over to what you've recommended, and my body's even reacted better to it.
That's good. Yeah. There's good, better, best, right?
Yep.
When we know better, we do better.
All right. nutritionstop.com.
Yes.
Very active on the Facebook page.
Yes.
As well. And maybe more to come. We'll find out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. All right, what is coming up here on June 2nd? We are hosting and participating in the debate for the St. Charles County Executives Race. That's going to happen June 3rd on the campus of Lindenwood University. We are teaming up with our friends at the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise. It's going to happen from 7 o'clock to 8:30. The three contenders are going to be there. Bill Eigel, Steve Ellman, the current county executive, Jason Law. They are going to be debating these issues. Susie and I are going to be the panelists for this. And so we are going to be there. It is free. So mark it down on your calendar, June 2nd. You want to learn more about what's happening, just go to NewsTalkSTL.com. But plan on being there if you live in St. Charles County.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On Newstalk STL.
You want to take the place of what I trust. Turn on your color.
Producer Joey B from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J's Steakhouse in Moscow Mills.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Spring has sprung at Daniel's Farming Greenhouses on Juggerman and St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pods of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farming Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarminggreenhouses.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
This Rammstein?
Oh, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I didn't know you know. Well, this was like a huge hit when it
Just
came out.
Du hast.
Du hast,
Du,
yes.
du hast. Du hast me.
Yes.
Yes. Which means you have me.
Or you hate me.
Oh, really? Because
So-
I was when I saw the interpretation said have. Is it have or hate?
Okay, so this is a bit of a double entendre song.
Yeah.
It's basically, it means both, but it depends on the context. And I've had an authentic German native
okay.
explain this to me. So it's you have me because part of it is them talking about wedding vows, but the guy says no, so it switches the context to say you hate me
Well,
to
which
say.
could
So
also be part of wedding vows.
yeah, yes. So it doesn't get translated if you're English and you're trying to put it in like Google Translate,
Yeah.
but it's like a double entendre of,
Okay.
of that whole dynamic.
Interesting. All right, 8:23 right now. By the way, a lot of folks commenting on that discussion with Barbara Mustone from Nutrition Stop because there's so much going on there. So my suggestion, because I have a feeling what happens is you hear those discussions, you're like, yeah, I need to know more about that. Just go out to Nutrition Stop. They're on Mexico Road there in St. Peters, or just put in Nutrition Stop in your maps. Take it right there, nutritionstop.com. And I'm not kidding. I go in there. I usually have more questions than anything else, but I've settled into what works for me.
And if you're like me and you don't, there's a lot of terms, a lot of acronyms that were being used that you just couldn't remember, but you like to do your research so you don't sound as silly when you go in, just pull up the podcast. We're going to have that up there in a little bit. Just pull up per segment. You'll be able to say, oh, that's what you said. Just take some notes. So you'll go in there and sound like a pro.
And don't even worry about sounding silly. Nobody is going to go in there and sound sillier than me. Nobody.
I hate sounding silly, though.
Oh, I know, but I've broken the ground for you on that. So yeah, just go check it out. All right, 8:24 right now. Okay, I just want to kind of step back and this whole thing with the Missouri income tax cut proposal.
Mm-hmm.
I am a communications guy. Obviously, I've been a communications director. I've been a communications consultant. I've been, and so this is my vocation. And so stepping back from my opinions on the issue itself, I think it's interesting how the battle is over the framing of the entire issue. So I'm looking at my Facebook Reels last night, and I don't get a lot from Missouri Democrats because they honestly don't do that much compared to Republicans. But I got one popping up in my feed from Ashley Awney, who's a state representative, and she's the Democratic leader in the Missouri House, basically, going after this proposal. And then obviously you're hearing the pushback on social media and a lot of the questions we got at the town hall meeting that we did with AFP, Americans for Prosperity. And what's fascinating to me is, first of all, the Democrats aren't even saying that much, because I think they're relying on a part of the Republicans and the independents to do their work for them in trying to beat this, because the Democrats just don't have the numbers to defeat it on their own. So what they're hoping for is that there are enough Republicans who don't like the plan. But it's being what Representative Ani said, and what I've seen from others, is they don't even talk about the income tax part. They don't even reference the income. So they're taking an income tax cut and they are relabeling it a sales tax increase. And that's what they're asserting. Now, is there going to be a sales tax increase if this eventually passes by the voters? Well, maybe not. Now, what would likely happen is that things that are not subject to the sales tax now would then be subject to the sales tax later. You want to call that a tax hike? I guess you could make that argument. But what's interesting is that they don't even want to talk about the income tax cut. Now, you can be for it, you can be against it. I'm not arguing at that point right now. I just think it's interesting to take that in when you're hearing people talk about it, because when you hear this is going to be, I actually heard somebody say a 30% tax hike for sales tax. There's no evidence that that's going to happen. In theory, could it happen? Theory, it could. Every shred of economics says that it won't. But for instance, and I brought this up when I was asking the questions, and I kind of challenged Nick Schroer and Ben Keithley, and they had answers. I said, like, for instance, my internet bill, it's $75 a month right now for my level of internet that I have at my place. I don't pay a sales tax on that, but I'm going to pay a sales tax, so my bill is going to go up. I can see that. If I go to, I don't know, I don't really get massages, but if I went and got a massage, I don't know what a massage costs these days, but you just generally pay for that service. Well, then there's going to be a sales tax added, so that's going to go higher. So we're going to see that. The proposal is that if state revenues meet a certain amount, then the income tax would allow it to be lowered. And then if the state revenues meet another number, then it can be lowered again, and it's just a more aggressive way of doing it. One of the ways to do that is by taxing things that aren't being taxed. I personally don't subscribe to any streaming services. I don't have Prime. I don't have Hulu. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have Cardinals TV. I don't have any of those. But if one of those is, say, $20 a month, and this passes, then very likely it's going to be $20 a month plus the same tax you'd pay on a pair of shoes, whatever that is. And so you would see some increases. So in that sense, there would be things that would cost more money. Now, the trade-off is supposed to be that you keep more of your paycheck.
Well, and I think that might be where some of this misrepresentation is coming from, because if you are addicted to consumption, and I'm with you, I don't pay for home Wi-Fi, I don't pay for streaming services, I don't really pay for a whole lot. I don't even go and buy coffee outside the house. I buy my own little stuff from Aldi's, and hopefully soon I'll be going to Nutrition Stop and getting some.
That's right. They do have really good coffee.
So I just got a coffee grinder, and I'm so excited to use it.
The brand is they've got several brands. I don't want to short the others, but my favorite that they have is called Heirloom brand. Ooh. So good, and their breakfast blend, absolutely fantastic.
And I'm a coffee snob, so I'm going to definitely check that out.
Good stuff.
But I can imagine if you're the type of person where, like, oh, of course I'm going to buy 5 streaming services so I can watch 5 different shows, and you're going to have to pay a little bit more because of the sales tax, because people don't think, well, if I can keep more of my money when it comes to me, because this is my time, my labor, my effort, my skill set that I'm implementing to earn these wages, they don't think about that in the sense of, well, now I can choose to save more if I need to save more. I can choose where I allocate it more. There are people that they just cannot help but have this routine of consumption. And so they're looking at this of like, well, I'm going to have to pay so much more money now because I just won't cut back on consumption. I buy like physical used DVDs because I don't want to pay for streaming services, because you can get a whole box set of those for the cost of like 2 months of a streaming service. So
totally.
I can understand maybe where some of that comes from. And of course, as we know, politicians love their taxes. They love their I almost want to call them welfare queens in some ways, because they love their tax dollars. But I can understand that people seeing this as a potential Trojan horse to kind of hike some stuff up, to do stuff behind the scenes. But from everything that I've seen in these proposals, it goes a lot more with what you're saying, is that we would be able to keep more of our own money, and that there's not a lot of evidence to suggest that you're going to notice this huge spike in things you're already paying for.
Yeah, and so we're going to have several months to decide how we're going to vote on it. And I think it's going to be a very, very close vote one way or the other. But when you see the discussion of it, and you see, like, for instance, you've heard some people say, well, this is the everything tax. Okay. Okay, they're focusing on this is what is going to be increased. Well, that's not in the plan, but it is absolutely possible that things will be taxed. It's likely things will be taxed that are not being taxed now in exchange for lowering another tax. So when you hear somebody just say, well, I've even heard people say, well, this is the tax hike plan. Well, it's a tax cut plan that requires spending cuts as well. So just make sure you're getting a balanced information. If you're one of those who says, I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this, I would encourage you to listen to both sides, but understand that at its core, this is a tax cut plan, and part of the way that you offset that is, yeah, there could be some things that you're not paying taxes on now that you could end up paying taxes on in exchange for that.
And on the flip side, this is more rewarding to people that work and live in Missouri, because a lot of the burden would be, or we would generate more of this revenue from people that are coming to Missouri from out of state, paying into the sales taxes. So we would be keeping more of our money for working here, and then the tourists and the other people would be supplementing some of the budget pitfalls. Now, I do want to point out that our friends at Americans for Prosperity say, good morning.
Yes.
Let's get to zero. Camellia, also, thanks for discussing this with the folks. P.S. Who is it that has that good coffee? You know, I need to know that.
That would be Nutrition Stop. That Nutrition Stop on Mexico Road. And they've got a couple other brands too that I hear are very good. I bought that early one, and I've just been buying it ever since. But they've got all kinds of different blends, and my tea that I have as well. They have a lot of that too.
Now, speaking of sales tax, I was able to avoid a little bit of that because I bought a used Bluetooth speaker. Somebody just got a better one, and I was testing it out. And I connected my phone. I pulled up that NewsTalkSTL app, and guess what? It works great. And I was able to listen to, in my whole house now, just not in my headphones, I can listen to NewsTalkSTL wherever I'm at, even when I'm in my house. So I'm not stuck sitting in my car now.
And do you know what the total sales tax on the NewsTalkSTL app is going to be?
110%?
Zero.
Oh!
Because it's free. So
beautiful.
We'll not have a sales tax on that no matter what.
So there's really no reason not to download it then, is there?
No.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs back towards the 60-degree mark today as scattered showers push out during the early morning hours. We'll continue to see increasing sunshine as the day goes on. Then into Thursday, 66 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, good to be seeing some afternoon chances of some showers and storms, highs towards the lower 70s. We'll continue to rise into Saturday, highs close to 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies. By Sunday, more chances of some scattered showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
Fox News commentary with Brian Kilmeade next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Here's Brian Kilmeade.
Polls continuing to show voters increasingly blaming the administration and the war in Iran for rising gas prices and overall our surge in the cost of living. Only 22% of voters are approving so far. But as polarizing as this war has been, and as much of a distraction that many feel it is from the issues that President Trump was in the process of fixing, I personally feel this war had to be fought because I'm paying attention. I give President Trump a lot of credit for being the only one in 47 years to say, well, I'm not going to take it anymore. We got to fix this before it's too late. And I think when it ends, the voters will like the result and change their opinion. This is not the first time the party in power has had a challenge like this. And if anyone can right the wrong and do it against the norm and the tradition, it's the guy currently sitting in the Oval Office.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
When you count on Connor, you're getting
protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
News, analysis, opinion.
They wanted to close up the strait again, as they've been doing for years, and they can't blackmail us.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, think about this. You could get caught up in a search warrant just because of where you were at any given point. Driving through some area, get caught up in a search warrant. Going to the store, waiting for a cup of coffee at the stand-up, pop-up, kiosk or whatever, you could get caught up in a search warrant, even if there's no reason to believe that you had anything to do with a crime. So the Supreme Court is considering a case that deals with that sort of dragnet search warrants. Now, this is complex, but this is really interesting. And I was sent an article, really an op-ed from our friends at the Pacific Legal Foundation. And it says the Supreme Court's last best chance to stop the surveillance state. Okay, and it was written by Amy Peikoff, who joins us right now. And this is one of those cases, Amy, by the way, thanks for being on the program here, that has not gotten a lot of attention because there's so many huge cases out there. I mean, they're all important, and I may mispronounce this, Chatry versus the United States. What is the situation at hand that's worked its way up through the court? Because really what we're talking about is how much of a limit, if any, can an investigation have applied to it, essentially, for kind of a wonky way to say it.
Yes, Mike, thanks for having me on. And yeah, this is a bit of a complex topic. This case, Chatry, involves what's called a geofence warrant. And that means that the government will come to Google in this case with a warrant saying that we want to know how many devices, what devices, Google devices were in a particular location, some sort of radius around a particular location during a particular time frame, in this case, half an hour before and half an hour after a crime was committed. And the problem with these warrants, at least in the case of Google, was that it required searching a database that included over 500 million Google customers. So that means if your location history was stored with Google, then they searched that entire database, including your information, in order to return results to the government. And of course, the government in this case had no probable cause, no particularized suspicion about anybody in that database. It's a giant fishing expedition.
Okay, so is this going to be a situation where we think this guy, let's call him Bob, we think this guy, Bob, we have reason to believe that Bob was in the vicinity when this crime happened. Google, show me where Bob was. That's one thing, versus this happened, show me who was there, whether or not there's any indication they were involved or not. Does it matter how specific it is, or is it about just the dragnet overall? Because somebody could argue, Amy, that, well, they want to know who potential witnesses are. So don't they have a right to try to find who the witnesses are?
So this is the thing. Probable cause could be, as you're saying, Mike, it could be probable cause to believe that the person is a suspect or probable cause to believe a potential witness. And the concern with these geofence warrants is that they are not drawn narrowly enough so that you can say with confidence that anybody that's going to be revealed, as a result of the search is either a witness or a suspect. Now, this is if you believe that the only search that occurs is once they actually return the results. If you actually are principled about this and you say, okay, look, my information is stored with Google, and every time the government looks into my information, even if it's just to say, look, you weren't even there, and that's a search, then perhaps even at that step, we think that there should be a warrant, that you should know that there's some guy named Bob who you suspect was involved in this crime, and then you go to Google and you say, okay, yeah, where was Bob? You have probable cause in that scenario, right?
Okay. So, Amy, then you mentioned the principal part of it, which is why I wanted to have the discussion here. We want law enforcement to have the tools to find the bad guys, especially if they're dangerous, especially if they're hurting other people. What's the principle that we should care about restricting the way that they search? I mean, what is it that's the bigger picture we should keep in mind? Because again, we want the cops to get the bad guys, but why is it that we need to say "but" within these bounds?
So the principle of private property, right, is one that has traditionally been enforced through the Fourth Amendment. Decades ago, before they even ever had an exclusionary rule, the remedy for a, search without a warrant was a cause in trespass. They would say you trespassed on your property. Justice Scalia, the late Justice Scalia, started bringing this principle back. You might remember there was a case called United States versus Jones in 2012 when the police attached a GPS device to a car. And Scalia identified correctly that is actually a trespass to a chattel, a possession of yours, your car. And if you, protect that principle, then all of the information then we share with third parties under a service provider contract that says keep this private, that will remain private and protected with the Fourth Amendment's warrant requirement. This is hugely important for our privacy, not just of our location, but think of any information that you have stored with a service provider in the cloud or otherwise. And if the government can access that without a warrant, no probable cause, no particularized suspicion, the implications for your privacy, for also, there's an overlap with your First Amendment rights. If you're saying the wrong things, maybe they're going to do a search that pulls you up. If you're buying the wrong things at the store, they use the metadata from your credit card transactions to figure out that you've done that, et cetera. And suddenly you're on a list of, government targets.
Well, which we actually saw a few years ago regarding firearms purchases and
Exactly.
instructions with the bank. So depending on how the ruling goes in this particular case, Amy, is it possible that the reach and the protections of the Fourth Amendment could actually be expanded?
Well, I wouldn't say expanded, because I actually think this problem goes back to a wrong turn that the Supreme Court took in the 1970s. In the 1970s, they actually expanded this so-called third-party doctrine without justification of any kind. It used to be that the third-party doctrine applied in a Tony Soprano type scenario where, he's talking to a criminal co-conspirator and they promise to keep it secret, but that promise was never enforceable in a court of law. That was the origin of this doctrine. And then in the 70s, the Supreme Court expands it to perfectly legal service provider contracts between you and your bank or your phone company or whatever. And then here we are in the 21st century where we share information with all sorts of third-party service providers, and the implications have been horrible. So I think they're actually going to return protections to information that they had before the 1970s, if we're lucky.
It just gets so complicated with so many things now on the cloud. And yes, it's in technically private hands, but the government can say, well, we're just going to the provider and they're handing it over. It's not directly from you. It's their information because they own it. It just gets so complicated.
Exactly. And you don't even know that these searches are taking place. That was one point that was made during the oral argument. Justice Alito says, well, if there's over 500 million Google users, why haven't we seen a lot of outrage? And Chattrey's counsel said quite correctly that it's just that they don't even know about it. The service providers often are not able to make private or let the person know that their data has been searched. But I think just as if there is a database compromise, in a service provider and they have to tell you, that potentially your data was compromised, similarly, if the government asks them to search the data, you should be able to know that too.
All right. The article or the op-ed is called "The Supreme Court's Last Best Chance to Stop the Surveillance State," and we find it and we connect with you. Where and how, Amy?
At pacificlegal.org.
All right, and it's easy enough. Amy, thanks so much. Appreciate the discussion.
Thanks for having me on.
Yep, you got it. All right, still ahead here. You need something, Jerome. You need people to help you this week. What is it?
I am not afraid to admit I need your help from all of you listening right now in picking the best 80s bump music requests for Flashback Fridays. This week's theme is going to be songs that were released in the 80s that were actually covers or variations of older songs. So, as we mentioned, Putting on the Ritz was not originally an 80s song. That was a variation of a Great Depression song that was actually mocking the poor. So they flipped it on there. But if you have any 80s songs that you're like, wow, I did not know this was a cover, or if it's just a really good 80s song, send it to me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I'm the cult of personality, the cult of personality, the cult of personality.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On NewsTalk STL.
Your workout tomorrow starts tonight. Your focus at work starts tonight. Your patience with your family starts tonight. Sleep isn't the end of your day, it's the beginning of your life. At Snooze Mattress and Wellness, we're locally owned and family owned, and we use advanced technology to help you find a mattress designed for deep, restorative sleep. Because this isn't about furniture, it's about waking up renewed. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Grab your shotgun and mark your calendar. The 11th annual Jeff Hansen Memorial Foundation Sporting Clay event is Saturday, May 16th at Black Hawk Valley Hunting Preserve in Old Monroe, Missouri. Enjoy 56 clays, breakfast, and lunch, all included for just $195 per person. Or enter a team of 4 with a golf cart for $750. There will be door prizes, gun raffles, and trophies for top teams and top shooters. Reserve your spot by May 8th at jeffhansenmemorialfoundation.org.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now. 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It's been too long since we spoke to the smartest guy in the world. His name is Paul Kurtman. He'll join us to play the Bee or Not the Bee Wednesday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on NewsTalk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, so keeping up with the war in Iran gets harder and harder because things change, not just daily, but almost hourly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the big Project Freedom that was launched was pulled back within 24 hours. And then, of course, we get news that, U.S. ships are being fired upon, but now we're being told, but they weren't actually hit. There's just a lot going on, and things are changing constantly. What I'm about to tell you is current as of right now, but by tomorrow, it's going to be completely out of date.
That's fair assessment.
Yeah. Also, prosecutors make a decision to not charge the man involved in a stabbing death at Busch Stadium that happened on Monday. This surprised a lot of people. And Battlehawks, man, they're in a good position right now when you're talking about the postseason for the UFL. It is 8:51. Let's wrap up with another news dump here.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Okay, so on Tuesday, President Trump in less than 24 hours called off Project Freedom, which was an operation to guide stranded cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz amid the Iranian blockade. Now, the U.S. Navy is warning ships to take a different route in the strait after reports that Iranian ships are once again laying mines in the water. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, was on Hannity last night on Fox, saying Tehran is lashing out in response to the U.S. blockade. You got to keep your blockades straight. You've got the Iranian one and then the U.S. one.
You can't respond by throwing sea mines into international waterways and by trying to raise revenue by tolling international civilian shipping.
Okay, and there were reports that U.S. ships were fired upon, but the U.S. military says that none of the U.S. ships were damaged.
It also looks like Iran and Pakistan might be making a deal to alleviate some of the Iranian blockade by going through them for trade. So that's going to complicate the whole matter.
Big complication. Okay, President Trump doubling down on his criticism of Pope Leo ahead of the Secretary of State's, Marco Rubio's, visit to Vatican City.
Rubio, who is Catholic, will travel to Rome and Vatican City this week in a bid to ease rising tensions between the Trump administration and the Pope. Before the Secretary of State's departure, the president claimed Pope Leo believes it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon and that he's endangering Catholics and a lot of people. Leo has not said Iran should obtain nuclear weapons, but he has criticized the war against Iran generally and called for more peace talks. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, that's going to be an interesting conversation because I think President Trump, not being Catholic, obviously looks at the Pope as another. He's just a world political figure, which he is, whereas other people who are Catholic look at him in a much different perspective. To me, he's just another guy out there because I'm not Catholic. And so that's a big part of this. So obviously Marco Rubio is our chief diplomat around the world, but the fact that he's Catholic is probably going to help with the dialogue here.
I'm just waiting for the Marco Rubio memes to come out of this.
Totally. Yes. All right. AAA says the average price for a gallon of gas nationally, $4.54.
Ouch.
Yeah. That's as of early this morning. In Missouri, statewide, the average cost is $4.12. And here in the metro, and here's how they do this. They just look at the different counties or the city. What's the average in those counties? And so around here on the Missouri side, $4.19 to $4.37. I have actually seen it higher than that, but those are the averages in the metro area here. On the Illinois side, the average price for gas statewide, $4.99. Yikes. In the Metro East area, so the east side here, it's $4.84 to $4.94. So gas prices just keep going up, and they're probably going to keep going up. We're going to be looking at $5 a gallon gas if something doesn't change, probably within the next week.
Well, the weird thing is I keep hearing people boasting about how we don't need the strait for oil, we don't need the strait for our energy, but then why is our energy going up? It's almost as if those two things could be related.
Yeah. All right. No charges in connection with the stabbing death at Busch Stadium early Monday morning. Now, that's the word from the circuit attorney's office, and they were pretty emphatic. They have chosen to not file any charges. Final.
Interesting.
Period. Yeah. They declined to say why, because that's basically a matter of practice, but they are not charging the 65-year-old man involved in that altercation. Police say the dispute involved a cleaning crew that works as a vendor for the Cardinals at the stadium. So these were not St. Louis Cardinals employees. These were vendors. 27-year-old Aaron Jones died as a result of that fight. All right. We got time. All right. He's asking again because he's got nothing else to do but file paperwork. Former St. Louis City Sheriff Alfred Loaded Dice Montgomery filed a motion in federal court asking the judge to dismiss all the charges against him. His claim is that the prosecutors relied on what he calls false testimony and that his prosecution has been for political reasons. One article I read said, I'm being targeted because I'm a Democratic office holder in St. Louis. What?
I am a black Democrat.
I'm a black Democrat. St. Louis doesn't like that.
If we know one thing about St. Louis, that's the exact demographic they dislike.
Dude. All right. There's been no response from the court.
How do you even respond to that?
Oh my goodness. Because he's, there by himself and
I understand.
There's nobody to go, dude, have another drink. Stop. Because you don't get to do that in jail.
If I was in his position, I could definitely understand what he's doing. I'm just saying as a court, like, how do you respond to that as your objection?
Yeah. I mean, there's no official court vernacular that says, nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I know you are, but what am I? I mean, that's just saying.
Oh, man.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. All right. The Cardinals game was rained out on Tuesday night, probably to nobody's surprise. You know who else this game was rained out?
Was it yours?
Mine was rained out. Yep. All right. But the Cardinals game is going to be made up later in the season when the Brewers are back in town. Today's game with the Brewers, that's on as scheduled. Things look good for that. First pitch is at 12:15. Andre Palante was supposed to start yesterday's game. Instead, he's going to start today's game for the Redbirds. And the new UFL power rankings are out. Battlehawks listed third in the league. DC Defenders on top of the list. That should not surprise anybody because they are 5-1. But the Orlando Storm is listed as second in the power rankings, followed by St. Louis. Both Orlando and St. Louis are 4-2 on the season. St. Louis actually beat Orlando. But still, Orlando's listed second. We're third. Doesn't really matter a lot at this point. But what happens is the top 4 teams go on to the playoffs in the UFL. So we just need to be in the top 4. But the difference is number 2 versus number 3 puts you in a different part of that bracket. So you really want to end up being number 2. I think DC is going to end up being the number 1 team in the league again. So it looks really good for the Battlehawks to go to the postseason yet again. But the next few weeks, they got the Columbus Aviators on Friday. The Battlehawks are favored to win that game, but they really need a good 4 weeks from here on out. And I think things look good for them.